Okay, guys, welcome back to another live stream. As you guys can see from the title, today we'll be doing a Q&A. We do these from time to time. Of course, this is episode 2, so it's not like we've done loads and loads of different episodes. So today, just send in your questions. I'll react to them. I'll answer them. Also, people in the chat will be able to help answer your questions. The whole point of these live streams is so that, if you've ever wondered anything about fashion or you have questions about the industry, I guess there's this one place where you can have it answered, not just by me, but also the people that watch the stream. So it's kind of like a community Q&A vibe with these live streams. So yeah, how is everyone doing? Hello, Urbans. How are you? Leo says we're locked in. Yeah, of course. Very much locked in. Very much locked in. Oh, hello, Nancy from the USA. Boaz, how are you doing? Hola, Baños. Was my pronunciation good? Oh, you're doing Photoshop. Okay, that's cool. Building the digital skills. I see you. I see you. I completely see you. Anyway, let's see. Let's see what questions you guys have. I just need to set something up quickly and then we can go straight into the questions. Let's see. By the way, guys, spam your questions as much as you want. And I'll just comment on them as I go, essentially. Everyone's like, hello, 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 hello. Everyone's having their hellos in the chat. Hello, guys, hello. Okay, cool. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so the first question is, how do you feel about Off-White's direction lately? Okay, so this is an interesting thing to start it off with. I think that it's interesting. For guys that don't know, Ibrahim Kamara has been the creative director of Off-White since Virgil's passing. Ibrahim Kamara is someone that is in the fashion industry widely regarded as a very revolutionary stylist, image maker, like many different things. I don't want to box him in. He worked at ID. He is editor-in-chief of Dazed magazine. So he comes from so many different perspectives. When the reason why actually I think he was hired at Off-White, which I think makes a lot of sense to me, is when Virgil Abloh was still alive, he used to do all the styling for Louis Vuitton at the time. And he used to do a lot of the styling for a lot of other big luxury brands. So that's why I thought it was interesting. The only issue, I guess, with Ibrahim Kamara is I think that his taste level, I don't want to say it's too high because that kind of sounds off key, but I don't think the way he designs works for the typical Off-White customer. I feel like the typical Off-White customer wants hoodies and, sweatshirts and blazers, but easy to wear, but with a twist kind of stuff. And I think some stuff that Ibrahim Kamara does is a bit too avant-garde for Off-White. It's a bit too left field for Off-White. And then also I think one big issue with Ibrahim Kamara's Off-White is also, I don't think it has any direction. There's no through line of identity throughout the collections. It just seems like there are all these interesting ideas on a garment to garment basis, on a look to look basis. But when you put all these looks together, it does look like a bit of a mess. So I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan of Off-White's new direction because I think it's actually quite directionless. I think it's all a bit random. there doesn't seem to be that much direction behind it, to be honest. So that's ultimately my opinion on the whole off-white direction. Have you checked out Alessandro's Valentino in person yet? No, not yet. I haven't yet. I should do soon though, just to see what the quality is like, just out of curiosity. Okay, let's see. Tell us about your recent trip to Amsterdam. So I didn't, I didn't go to Amsterdam. I went to Antwerp, but I can tell you about the trip briefly. I'm making a video probably tomorrow about it, but because I'm gonna do a pickups video. So literally right here, I have some stuff that I picked up. Like I picked up this Dries Van Noten fragrance. I'll show you guys the fragrance. You guys will see it in the actual video probably tomorrow. But this is the Dries Van Noten fragrance I got in Antwerp. Really fancy. So there's like this. I like had a few other pickups. I got this like Inga Grognard sweater. For guys that don't know who Inga is like a really famous makeup artist. She worked with Martin Margiela, a lot of the other members of, well, I mean, Martin is not part of the Antwerp Six, but she worked with other members of the Antwerp Six. Because I know that every time I speak, people misunderstand what I say. Like if I say, oh, she worked with the other members of the Antwerp Six, there's going to be someone that comments, yeah, but Martin Margiela is not part of the Antwerp Six. Like that's what I said. So I always have to over clarify these days. But yeah, she's also worked with other members of the Antwerp Six, like Walter van Beirendonk. She's done makeup for Dries Van Noten runway shows, like all this sort of stuff. So really famous. And that you can buy at the Momu because right now they're doing this exhibition at the Momu, which is about like masquerade and the impact of makeup on the history of fashion, which is really interesting. It's the first exhibition I've ever seen where there's a focus on, you know, makeup and its intersection with fashion in an exhibition of that magnitude. So it's really, really interesting. So obviously I picked up the museum book so I could do more research at home. There's some other bits like some Martin Margiela like archive bits and stuff. But we'll talk about that tomorrow. So yeah. Do you think it's unusual for someone deeply into fashion to have no interest in the influencer or celebrity side of it? I find that it doesn't appeal to me at all. No, I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all, to be honest. I think that, yeah, I think I'd say for most of my time being into fashion, I could care less about what celebrities wear. I really could care less. Like, what's my business with what celebrities wear? But as I've grown as a journalist in fashion, the reason why I'm more interested in the celebrity side of it is not because I care about celebrities. It's more to do with, I feel like as a fashion journalist, you kind of need to know what celebrities wear because what they wear is so influential that it could cause a trend and it could cause other people to start wearing different things. It could lead to like different things. So just being a fashion journalist, you kind of have to know how what is being worn on the red carpet can start to influence daily life or, you know, fashion trends that happen in the future. So with time, I started to realize, even though it's not my strong point and I'm not the most passionate about celebrity fashion and really care about what celebrities do, you have to kind of know about it. In like your progress of learning about fashion. And then also it's the point of, you know, how many times do we get to see these haute couture pieces and these runway pieces in person? Probably never. The only people that have access to these things are the celebrities that wear it on the red carpet, but also really, really rich people that I don't have access to day to day. So I don't see them. I don't see what they wear. So that's kind of the interesting through line with it. But I think it's completely okay and fine to not care about like the influencer or celebrity side of it. I always say that, you know, learn about fashion at your own pace and find what interests you personally. And, you know, that should be what you're mainly interested in. You shouldn't be too focused about things that don't personally interest you, in my opinion. What are the 3 key pillars that fashion brands should focus to get back the hype? Are you talking about luxury brands? I'm guessing that's what you're talking about because when you say to get back hype, but I guess if we're talking about, you know, traditional luxury brands, I would say that the first one is they need to focus on quality. I know I talk about this all the time. It's almost becoming a broken record, but quite literally, I just think that quality doesn't exist for a lot of these luxury brands. And I think it's starting to lead to a loss of customer satisfaction and loyalty. So I think that's a huge one, a really, really big one. I also think that they need to go back to being the people that influence fashion and not being influenced by fashion. I think that when I first got into fashion, high fashion used to influence the whole fashion industry, but now I think it's the other way around. I think every single brand is kind of rushing to jump in like onto the next trend. Like look at Gucci. They had more identity with Alessandro Michele. They hired Sabato because of this whole like quiet luxury thing, and they pivoted completely to this quiet luxury thing. It's like brands don't even have an identity. They just run with every single trend. And it started to become, you know, what I talk about when I say that every brand starts to look the same. Gucci looks like Le Mer, which looks like Phoebe Philo, which looks like The Row. And there's no individual identity from brand to brand, which when I first got into fashion, you would see a piece and be like, oh, that's Gucci. Or you would see a Saint Laurent piece. Oh, that's very Saint Laurent. You would see a Bottega Veneta piece and be like, yeah, that's definitely Bottega Veneta. Now, everything just kind of looks the same. So I think that's definitely something that needs to happen. And then also the price. A lot of the prices for luxury brands don't make sense. Now, luxury brands are supposed to be expensive because they're luxury brands. That's like the whole point of it. However, even though when you buy luxury goods, you know that you're kind of paying for the brand, I think even now the price is getting out of hand, especially for a lot of things like horrible quality cotton t-shirts, 400 euros. Like in which world does that make sense? So yeah, I'd say those are the three things brands should focus on. Let's see. What do you / we think about worn / ripped / made to look used clothes? Why won't we do long lasting clothes like military clothes? Okay, so I don't mind, you know, a stylistic thing, like a stylistic consideration by a brand, like, you know, things being ripped or deliberately distressed or whatever. I just like range. So I think we can do all of it at once. I think we can do the, you know, worn, made to look used clothing, and then we can also do the military clothing, and we can do the pristine tailoring. I think all of those can exist simultaneously. And I quite think that all of them do exist right now simultaneously. So I do think that, you know, a lot of people wear worn clothes, a lot of people wear the whole ripped, made to look used clothing, but at the end of the day, if that's not what you want to wear, there's so many other options, if you know what I mean. So I think it just depends where you look and what brands we are talking about. Let's see, a more stream-oriented question. Your thoughts about Julian Klausner and Dries Van Noten will be in a separated stream or can be in this stream. You know what? I didn't really I didn't really plan on doing a stream about Julian, mainly because I don't actually know anything about him. Like I actually need to read up about him. I just obviously saw the news story and saw that, you know, he's becoming a creative director. He's been hired from in-house. I posted about it, but I don't actually know anything about him. So I can't really speak much about him. You know what I mean? There's not really much for me to say about Dries right now. I need to go do my research and then I can make a stream. So I'll probably do a stream later. But I do like the fact that they hired someone in-house because that's someone that understands the market, understands the customer base already, knows the process of design, understands Dries Van Noten's design language. It just makes all the sense in the world to hire someone in-house. It just does. Let's see. What advice would you give to someone who is studying journalism but would like to get into fashion journalism? How would you advise they go on about it? I mean, I talk about this a lot, but one of the first things you can do is start pitching to magazines. But before you even start trying to pitch to magazines, obviously magazines want to see some writing that you've done before. So you kind of have to start small and work your way up. So I started writing for smaller magazines at the start, and then I would pitch to level magazines, I guess. And then I use those articles to start pitching to the BOFs and the Vogues and all those kind of publications. But I think it's really all about pitching. But before you even start trying to write for fashion publications and all that sort of stuff, or make your own fashion publication, I think it's good to practice. It's good to give yourself time, maybe start a blog. It could be anywhere, on Twitter, on you could start a Substack, it could be your website, but just kind of something that gets you into the practice of writing a few articles a day and gets you into that mode, and then you can start pitching. But it seems, I know fashion seems very mysterious, but a lot of editors of magazines, you can find their emails online quite easily, actually. That's what I did. That's how I know who to pitch to. So that would be my advice. And then obviously just like learn about fashion, read about it every day. I read about fashion every single day. The first thing when I wake up is open all the tabs of all the different magazines and all the different publications and read all the fashion news stories to stay up to date. And I do that every single day. So that would be my advice. Let's see. Okay, I'm so behind. Finn's talking about Inga. She's done my makeup when my ex broke up, so with me, and she did my makeup so I looked less sad. Shout out to Inga. I love Inga. But I must be so far behind. Oh my god, I talked about Inga quite a while ago. Let's see what Leo said. Off-White was in far too vulnerable a position post-Virgil to not have someone direct them on a very clear and cohesive path, whether high fashion or more streetwear. As it stands, they are lost. Let's see. In their defense, slash to be pedantic in terms of language, your use of the word other implies you are saying Margiela is part of the Antwerp Six, even though that's not what you're saying. Oh, okay. You're talking about when I say that people like to overanalyze what I say, like, oh my god, you're saying that Martin Margiela is part of the Antwerp Six, you don't know fashion. Fair enough, Zed. That's funny. Do you think we will ever see another blurring of the lines, collaborations between streetwear and luxury, and can it be done tastefully? When you say blurring of the lines, what do you mean? Do you mean like Supreme Louis Vuitton type collaboration? I think those are always going to happen, to be honest. I don't think a lot of them will be done tastefully. I just think it depends on what brand we are talking about. I mean, recently there was the Palace and Vivienne Westwood collab that I really loved, and I picked pieces from that collab. That's very much a streetwear slash luxury brand collaboration. And I think it was interesting. Obviously, I did a whole live stream on it. I think there were things that could be more interesting about it. But quite honestly, I thought that was a really cool and interesting collaboration. So I think it just depends who is collabing. Some other collaborations are really horrible. So I just think it depends on who exactly is collaborating. So yeah, I think some of them are tasteful, some of them are not. It just depends. Style versus fashion. Is this a question or a statement? Biking New Jersey. I'll take it as a question, but style, to me, style is individual. Style is something that's personal to you. Style is how you like to present yourself to the world. Style is how you transform your emotions into how you want to look in society. Whereas fashion, to me, when I think of the word fashion, I think of more the industry, like trends, business, commerce. That's what I think about when I think of fashion. So if you're asking me the difference between style and fashion, that's what I would say. What are your favorite fashion critics or writings? So I actually have a video about this. I think it's called 5 Fashion Journalists You Need to Know. So check it out if you can. That being said, I'll mention a few of my favorite fashion journalists right now. So there's Rachel Tastian. Rachel Tastian is, she writes for the Washington Post right now. Amazing, amazing writer. She kind of has this witty sense of humor through her writing that I absolutely love. I think it's hilarious. I think she is hilarious. And And she's so intelligent, so intelligent, amazing fashion mind, been covering fashion for such a long time. So yeah, Rachel Tastian is someone like that I'm a big fan of. Obviously, big names like, you know, Tim Blanks, Kathy Horin, Vanessa Friedman. I don't necessarily agree with everything they say, but they've been covering fashion since before I was born. A lot of them. So they know shit. Like, they know what they're talking about. So at the end of the day, they always have something. They always add value when you read their writing. There's always something to learn when you read stuff that they write. So I enjoy that a lot. I'm trying to think of which other journalists do I like. I like Alexander Fury. I think Alexander Fury is also another really strong fashion mind. I do think that he has way too much of a John Galliano bias sometimes. And it can be hard to read his writing when he talks about John Galliano. It feels like I'm reading a cheerleader writing about John Galliano. But outside of that, like, super intelligent guy, super knowledgeable, crazy fashion mind, amazing writer. So Alexander Fury, I definitely put on that list. There's a journalist that writes for Vogue Business called Ezreen. I'm a big fan of Ezreen. Ezreen normally covers like African fashion and what's going on in Africa, which I really like because it's kind of a very kind of underutilized niche, and not many writers, you know, exist in that niche. So I really enjoy that. So Ezreen is also someone that I'm a big fan of. Definitely check out her writing. So yeah, those are people that immediately come to mind. But there are so many others. Like, I just have to think a lot more about who else I really like. In your opinion, which designers are the future ones to watch and will make a turnaround? Thinking Loewe and Bottega Veneta, who a few years ago were not on anyone's radar. Really? Well, Loewe, maybe, do you know what? It's so hard, Nick D, for me to answer questions like this because I work in fashion. It's hard for me to even imagine a time when, you know, Loewe or Bottega Veneta were not on anyone's radar. Because, like, Bottega and Loewe have always been on my radar. And, like, on this channel, we've always talked about these brands. But if you're talking about, like, what brand is going to, I guess, have a buzz the way that, let's say, Bottega has, since Daniel Lee got there and obviously Matteo Blasi following suit. I think Saint Laurent, even though, once again, Saint Laurent is like, that's why it's hard for me to answer these questions. Saint Laurent is a brand that everyone knows, but it isn't a brand that is part of the current zeitgeist. It's not that when you look online, what brand are people always talking about? It's always Balenciaga. It's always Bottega. I don't think Saint Laurent is spoken about like that, but I think it's coming back in that sense. I definitely think Saint Laurent is coming back. I've seen with the past few runway shows that Saint Laurent have done, a lot of people have been really interested, and there has been an increasing number of people that have been talking about Saint Laurent from what I've seen. It could just be my corner of the internet. Let's see. Thoughts on Ferragamo. When you say thoughts, sorry, what do you mean? Do you mean like, do I like it? Like, do I like what Maximilian Davis is doing or whatever? But if that's the question, then yes, I'm a big fan of Maximilian's Ferragamo. I actually post about it all the time on Twitter. So if you want to hear me or see me talk about Ferragamo, follow me on Twitter. I'm literally always posting about Ferragamo on Twitter, so you can get like my daily thoughts on Ferragamo that way. Let's see. Thoughts on Louise Trotter potentially going to Bottega and Blasi going to Chanel. So I did make a video about Matteo Blasi going to Chanel. I think at this point, it's almost gotten to the point where it's confirmed at this point. So I actually didn't know, maybe I'm not up to date on that news, that Louise Trotter is potentially going to Bottega. That is interesting. That is actually really interesting. I think Louise Trotter is actually quite perfect for Bottega, because Louise Trotter, for people that don't know, I've made a lot of videos on Louise Trotter from times when she was at Lacoste. I remember I made a video years ago about how she transformed Lacoste and made it more of a high fashion brand than it already is. She's worked at all these different brands like Joseph, and right now she's at Carven. So I think she has this sort of classic kind of like, her aesthetic is very Phoebe Philo with a bit of an edge-esque. That's how I would describe Louise Trotter's aesthetic, and I think that is basically what Bottega is. So there's a playfulness to Bottega, at least current Bottega, but it is still rooted in very classic looks and classic styles of garments. So I think that she would be an amazing fit for Bottega, but I didn't actually know that that was the discourse, that Louise Trotter could be going to Bottega. I didn't know that. So thank you very much. You are actually teaching me about stuff. Thank you very much. Let's see. Do you allow one to shadow you? Is it something you're open to doing, or would you refer me to someone I could shadow? This is just to gain in first-hand experience, so to speak. Yeah, so the problem is, people do ask me this question. It would be very hard for someone to shadow me because I don't really work as a journalist anymore, in the sense that like my schedule is really, really random. Like 1 second I'm doing a YouTube live stream, the next second I'm doing consulting, like marketing consulting for a luxury brand, the next second I'm doing some other stuff, the next second it's just, my life is a bit too random. There's no structure. So I don't even know how anyone could benefit from shadowing me, to be honest. I think it'll just all be too random. Maybe when my life has more structure, then it would make more sense. So I would more refer you to someone to like work with or shadow or learn from than me, because I don't think you would learn much from me. Everything is all over the place with me. Do you think investors hold the power in fashion, especially with how they support brand growth? Hold the power in fashion in what sense? Like hold the I'm trying to understand exactly what you are asking, because like hold the power can come in many different forms, right? But if you mean hold the power in terms of the direction that brands go, then yes. Everything at the end of the day in fashion is all about money. So the investors control everything, quite literally. They control everything. Let's see. I feel like I'm so far behind with what you guys are talking about. I might have to skip a few. Let's see. Oh my god, this is controversial as fuck. Trying to get me cancelled. What is the shittest collection from a big brand you've ever seen, in your opinion? Can be either because you were let down or was just so shit. So I would say the Balenciaga Hollywood collection. That was awful. That's probably one of the worst runway collections I've ever seen on a for so many different reasons, right? Which I won't go into because I feel like I've talked about that collection a lot, but that quite literally is one of the worst runway shows I've ever seen put on a runway ever. So yeah. What did someone say? It's pronounced blasé, not blazy, like crazy. Interesting. What influence do you see AI having on the industry, especially for pattern makers and training? What should new graduates keep in mind when job hunting? Sorry for putting two questions in one. There are already AI tools. Like there's software. I went to this like fabric mill place in Antwerp 2 days ago, and they had, I cannot remember what this software is called. I know I wrote it down on my phone, but there's this software that has AI embedded where you can like, it's so cool. You can like scan a fabric. You can input all of the properties of the fabric into this software, and then based on the properties that you input, you can do your patterns on like this software. Now there's software already that you can do patterns like Clo 3D and all this stuff, right? But this software is a bit different where it takes into account the actual weight of the fabric, how the fabric moves based on the properties that you put in. And there's also AI that helps kind of do that. So even when you change the fabrics in the software, it changes because the weight, even if it's the same pattern, if you just change the fabric of the same pattern, the way it looks on a model and you can visualize it on a model, it changes completely because of the weight of the fabric. And I was like, oh my God, this is like insane. So that's definitely a way that AI is definitely going to revolutionize the way that fashion is created. Because I think if that kind of software takes off, that's really going to change the way we make patterns. Hopefully there's less waste in fashion, because I think that the sampling process in fashion a lot of the times leads to a lot of waste. More fabrics are used than is necessary and all that sort of stuff. So I think that is going to be really good for the industry. And then in terms of new graduates to keep in mind when job hunting, I think you just need to fashion, and I always say this, fashion is a relationships-based business. I don't care if you are the second coming of Alexander McQueen. No one cares. If you don't know anyone, you don't have any connections, it's a lot harder than someone that is a worse designer than you, but just knows people. So my advice, even when you're looking for jobs, is, make genuine relationships in fashion. Not just don't just become friends with people because you're going to do something for me and you're going to give me a job. That's a very transactional way of doing relationships. How I see relationships are, I'm genuinely building meaningful relationships. We just happen to work in the same industry and we might work together in the future, but I'm not forcing it. And I've noticed that I think there's one job I've gotten in fashion that I've applied for. Every other job I've ever gotten in fashion, I would say if I was to count, I've maybe gotten 10 jobs in total in fashion over the course of my whole career. I'm not talking about freelance jobs. I'm talking about employment, 9 to 5. And the thing is, in all of those jobs, 9 of them was to do with word of mouth, reference, kind of being put forward by someone. Only one of them I actually applied. So that would also be some of my big advice, that don't just think of jobs as, okay, I'm going to apply and get the job. Also build connections. And that's one way in which you can progress in the industry. Let's see. Since you mentioned your fondness for the collaboration, did the situation with Westwood Palace get settled? As far as I'm concerned, that's still ongoing. As far as I know. Leah says Balenci X Era 1 was a 10-pack of us. Oh my God. The Hollywood Balenciaga one, I think, has appeared in 4 different streams. That's so funny. Okay, let's see. I want to be a creative director while not a fashion designer, but I'll keep learning garment construction like pattern making and those stuff, but not sketching or sewing, and focus more on the branding. I mean, that's completely fine. I mean, now more than ever, it's the access to starting a brand is a lot easier than it's ever been before because of the internet and all these different tools, right? And there are just so many platforms that will support you in doing that. That being said, I don't know, maybe because obviously it's a question. I don't know anything about your background or if you have ideas for this brand, but I, a lot of the time, push for, if you don't have a point of view or anything very interesting to say through fashion, then you shouldn't start a brand, because 1, it probably won't work and you'll waste a lot of money. And 2, it just becomes polluting the planet. You know what I mean? So I'm always a proponent of that. I think it's very important. Not that you have to, but I would always suggest that if you want to be a creative director, at least learn some tangible skills like sewing and pattern making, because it will be good for you. Factories can't mess you about. Do you know something that a lot of factories do if you don't know how to make patterns? Because I personally know how to make patterns. My sewing skills are a bit but but I definitely know how to make patterns. I've done an internship where I was a pattern maker. So I know this because it happens a lot. And my friends go through these issues sometimes where you're trying to make a tech pack. And because people are being lazy and because you don't know how to make patterns, they will just be like, we can't make a pattern for that. It's not realistic. No one does that. That's not the industry standard. And they'll start making excuses and they'll just try to make their job easier by telling you that, oh, that's not possible. And if you can't make patterns and you don't even know what's possible, then they can just get away with doing that. And it's very hard for you to then create the clothing that you have in your mind, especially if it's very avant-garde or it's very different or it's very interesting, because you will go to these factories and they want to do the bare minimum and they'll be like, yeah, we can't make that. And if you don't have the patterns and you don't have the right tech packs, then how are they going to make it realistically? You just have to make the basic ass hoodie or t-shirt that everyone else uses that they already have in the factory. So there's so many reasons why I'd say I would still suggest learn more about more pattern making and sketching and sewing rather than just starting a brand based on branding, because we see success stories, but most people's brands fail. So the more chances you can give yourself for your brand to succeed, I would always suggest that. I'm not going to give people bad advice and be like, yeah, you're going to be the next Virgil Abloh, because it's so unrealistic. So I'm sure there are thousands of people last year that thought they were going to be Virgil Abloh and their brands tanked and they lost thousands of dollars that they'll never get back. So, yeah. Thank you for the for the super chat, Leo. I pledge my wee little coins for Urban After Hours. Yeah, I've done so. YouTube just launched this feature where you can like set donation goals. And I was thinking, what's a good like donation goal to set for all of my streams? And I realized that a good goal to set, because people are always like, oh my God, you need to do after hours. But it actually takes a lot of my time because I need to like work and do actual work. So I was like, okay, if I get like donations, loads of donations in a stream, then I'll do after hours. Last stream, my donation goal was that I'll wear my cap backwards. And Jennifer was like, I really want to see you wear your cap backwards. That was so funny. Someone's asking me how old I am. So nosy. So nosy. I don't care if people know my age. I'm 27 years old. So yeah, that's how old I am. Let's catch up. Let's see some of these questions. Do you think Miami could be a good place to launch a brand? I know everything is online now, but I'm wondering if offering a bespoke type service could do well down there. Oh yeah, of course, because a lot of people in Miami have money and there's a lot of wealth in Miami. So I think a lot of businesses can work in Miami. You just have to think of the climate. Because if you're making like, I don't know, if you want to make like crazy tailoring and like outerwear, I don't know how well that could work for a Miami audience, to be honest. So that's something to consider. But in the general sense, yes, Miami is a very good place to launch a brand. There's a lot of money there. And there's probably less competition than typical fashion hubs like a London, LA, Milan, Paris, New York. You know, so actually, if anything, that would actually be a good place to launch a brand. Especially if you know people there and you have connections and like you live there and stuff. I would definitely say it is. Let's see. Do you still recommend an older Rick Owens leather jacket in terms of having a leather jacket that's high quality and long lasting? Short answer is yes. Let's see. I've also heard of factories overcharging people who aren't in the inner circle. Yeah, I talk about this all the time, but that's completely normal. That's a business practice in any industry. Like if you go into a random factory where you don't know anyone, obviously they're just going to charge you whatever they feel like. Whereas if you're coming through a reference, if someone who already works with the factory and the factory has already made money from is referring you, they'll be more favorable to you and they'll give you a better price. That's just normal. That's in every industry, to be honest. Let's consider. Pharrell on the cover is crazy. That's funny. Just came from Miami, and for whatever reason, there were a lot of people wearing layers and cold weather clothing. Really? In that temperature? Absolutely no way. Absolutely no way. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. Thank you very much for the super chat. Urban After Hours for Photoshop and chill. That's funny. That's funny. Come on, guys. We're nearing the goal. We're 2 out of 10, guys. We're 2 out of 10. Dolce Jean says you have to build loyalty with factories slash manufacturers until they start cutting you discounts and stuff becomes familiarity. Exactly. That is, you know, across every industry. It's not just factories and manufacturers. It's just everyone does that. Like, there are stores that I go to that I've been going to since I was literally 18. And when I go there, they just give me a discount just because I always go there. There are places that I shop in Antwerp that I go to multiple times a year. And because I buy a lot of stuff from them, they always give me a discount every single time I go. It's just, you have to build a relationship and a rapport before people start giving you favorable, you know, prices and stuff like that. You can't just expect that, you know, from the beginning, from the start. Let's see. What's a good way to get into fashion sustainably, coming from an engineering background? Could you, Hadouken, I love that name, by the way. Could you specify what you mean by get into fashion? Do you want to get into fashion in terms of starting your own brand? Do you want to start your own magazine? Like, what do you want to do in fashion? Like, what exactly do you want to do? Also, Dammy, by the way, if you want to join the live stream, definitely hop in. I'll share the link if you want to hop in and answer some of the questions alongside moi. Photoshop and chill might be the new way to pick up graphic design cuties. Leo. Human users making us pay for afters. It's because I actually want to, like, I want to actually have a life. So that's why I keep the stream short. Gone are the days when I do like 9-hour streams. I feel like when I used to stream that long, I kind of was a bit jobless. Because like, why was I on a stream? I remember there was one time I streamed for like, this was during COVID, because this is when like my channel really blew up and this is when I really started streaming. But I remember one time I must have streamed for like 10 hours and my dad literally, like, he was watching my stream, and then when I got off the stream, he called me and he was like, you need to stop streaming that long and get a life. And he didn't mean it in a mean way. Like, that's how me and my dad joke around. Like, we have that like sense of humor, but it was just funny. My dad was like, you need to actually like be less jobless. Oh my god, that's funny. Where would you find the intersection between fine arts and fashion? I've studied both classic and contemporary art, and I often see shared ideas in runways and magazines, but the actual stores don't. Yeah, so unfortunately, even though a lot of, let's say, designers are very artistic in their practice, commerce always takes over. So then what tends to happen is buyers don't buy it, customers don't buy stuff. So then all the artful stuff just becomes like you find it in art galleries and in installations and in museums, but you don't see people wearing it, or you can't actually buy it anywhere. And some of my favorite brands are like this. So there's a brand that I'm a really big fan of. Let me put it on the screen actually so you can see. Let's see. Yeah, so there's this London brand called Harry, and they make sculptures using this like latex fabric. But I've noticed recently, they've started to kind of like find ways to make it kind of more commercial and more wearable in a way. But I really like it, the way like the clothing is presented. Like you see a lot of like Harry does a lot of art installations, and like you see a lot of it in different exhibitions and stuff, and it's really cool. But I don't think I've ever seen anyone like wear this stuff. But I find it so interesting. It's really cool. So if you go to runways, you go to art galleries, you go to fashion museums, art will always meet fashion. But if you kind of want that in a commercial sense, I think that's a lot more difficult to find, to be honest. You said, no, that's relatable. I've been less available since things have been happening in my life. Yeah. Hello, Dami. How are you?
Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? I'm Damilare. Aura.
We
Uh,
are good. We are good.
um, yo, I love Harry, and I love
Yeah,
Gentle
same.
Monster too. Gentle Monster have like this world that they're building in terms of like product and the engineering that they have in terms of the glasses as well. It's like, yeah, it's just amazing. And like they
Yeah.
just seem so artsy also. But yeah, Harry takes the biscuit sometimes, so I mess with it.
No, I totally agree. I'm a big fan, and I was gutted because I couldn't make it to their last runway show, but I'm definitely gonna make sure I make it to the next one. Um, so interesting.
But no, fam. So what are the questions? The most recent, John.
Oh, I'm actually just keeping up. I was let's see, let me see.
So is it questions
What?
in chat or preloaded questions?
No, it's questions in chat.
All right, great.
Let's see. I used to work for a luxury office outfitting company. The discounts after establishing relationships with designers and factories went up to 70%, which we would then add our markup to 30%. Exactly. So, like I've been saying earlier, if you build rapport over time with people and you build relationships, like genuine relationships, you'll start to see that you pay less for things. It's just how it goes in general. Let's see. Fine arts mixing with fashion is a luxury of brands who don't have to worry about sales, like the Comme des Garçons family, even though they say they make clothes but still end up in fine art spaces. Yeah, I think Comme des Garçons is so interesting because their setup is very different to anyone else because they do have to worry about sales in the sense that if Comme des Garçons Play doesn't make money and all the Dover Street markets don't make money and CDG Black and all those lines don't make money, then mainline ceases to exist. So in a way, they do have to worry about sales, but just not via the mainline. They have to worry about sales in all the other avenues that they use, like the perfumes and that sort of stuff. But they've done it successfully for how many years? I think that Adrian Joff is an absolute genius when it comes to business. So yeah, I definitely agree. I think it is definitely a luxury though. It's very few
Um,
brands that have that sort of setup to where they can have a whole line that's just totally artistic and it's like our intention is not even to make money or to sell any of these clothes at all. Dammy,
yeah,
what are you gonna say?
I would say though that in terms of the CDG in particular, actually before I say that, I said it in chat, but yeah, Dolce Jeans, his channel's wavy. You guys watch that, lock in and everything like that. But for CDG and like any other brand, so like even Loewe is part of this. In fact, Gentle Monster is part of this as well because commerce is an integral part of the business in terms of fashion. The way that the art of space sees it is totally different, and that's kind of the same thing with when artists kind of jump into fashion, which is why you get so many different collaborations with fine artists because that is the best way to create synergies, right? Because and it's one of those things where the artist is able to sell more pieces and the brand is able to see more luxury, more in tune with the culture of the people that they're selling to in like in turn, right? So if they think like with Dior for instance, like if they think, oh yeah, they know these artisans up in Ukraine for that collection that was I think 2 seasons ago, or with, like, let's say Kim Jones and the Nigerian artists or Ghanaian artists, people are like, oh, so you know our culture just as well. Let me tap in, let me clue in, because I know there's quite a few people that didn't look at Dior until that collection, right?
Mm.
So just to wrap up my my thought, it's like when an artist makes clothes, it's seen as merch to a lot of fashion people. And when fashion people try to like interject or like intercede into the art business, it seems like, a commercial play. So the best way to do that is generally collaborations with fashion designers, because you got to think, uh fashion places have the best factories and like the best deals for factories, and art people have the best like audiences in terms of that particular audience, in terms of like concentration of wealthy people.
Yeah, and I think something also interesting about the art conversation is I've had this conversation with a few of my friends that are artists. They always say that as an artist, when you get really involved in fashion, you almost over commercialize your practice
Mm-hmm.
because of the way that your artwork is used. Like, think of, I don't know, Cause. Like
Yes.
the way that Cause is used when Cause collaborates with like Dior or like different brands, like how the practice is just reduced to like prints on prints on prints on prints, and it's just like, okay, how many times can we print this on a t-shirt and make maximum money, or like Cause and Uniqlo and all that sort of stuff. So that's also another thing where I don't know if I can say that, but fashion sometimes, because fashion is so commercial, it waters down a lot of art, which is why it's hard to like be really artistic with fashion as the medium, because it's like everything has to still be commercialized. Like these things still need to be worn, unless it's CDG mainline or something like that. But
Exactly.
those
Yeah.
those kind of things are rare. I actually don't know many other lines outside of CDG mainline where literally the specific intention is like, yeah, some of this stuff, like, we have absolutely no intention to sell this stuff. Like
Precise. Like,
zero.
literally, if unless it is that, like, and I don't know whether it's snobby, but the best comparison I can say, it's like your favorite musician going mainstream. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So when it comes to the art world, it's like, oh, you're going mainstream, you're trying to sell a lot of pieces, da 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 da. So that's why there's a lot of grants, there's a lot of bursaries, there's a lot of like prizes for artists, so that they never have to feel the need to go mainstream. And like, this
Mm-hmm.
is in speaking to art advisors and people in the art world. There is this like kind of nexus event that happens when you kind of change your ideals in terms of, oh, because we know that these fashion entities have like manufacturing facilities, as in like people like slave labor, let me just say it, slave
Mm-hmm.
labor. There's like, oh, you're an artist that loves the environment, or you're an artist that loves downtrodden people, and you speak about
Mm-hmm.
that in your work, but then you're allowing this you know entity to create with their slave labor so you can make more money.
Yeah. When you says, I can you use this as a jump off to talk about your opinion about fashion not being art? Um so
That's not
obviously I've made a video about this, but I think this always like starts a massive fight. But I'm okay to have the conversation. But it's just the reason why I don't think fashion is art in the purest sense of the word is because fashion is an industry where the ultimate intention is to sell a garment to be worn. And like when you think of, like the art, like the actual definition of art, the definition of art literally has to do with like producing works primarily for their beauty or emotional power. So if there's like a ultra functional function for something, like it has to be worn, we have to design armholes regardless because you have to put your arms through it. It starts taking away more and more from, the true essence of what art is by definition. But I also think it's a spectrum, right? So if there's a whole spectrum, like I don't know, H&M and Zara would be all the way on this end of the spectrum, and CDG mainline would be all the way on this end of the spectrum. If like this is a fashion art spectrum, right? So you also have to think that it's not like a simple thing. Like every single brand and designer sits somewhere on that spectrum, and some brands are so close to art it might as well be art, like CDG mainline, but some are all the way on the other end, like Zara or H&M.
Yeah, that was a good explanation, to be honest. Like, from my purview, especially someone that kind of sits at an intersection at this present moment in time, you won't see many people that are entrenched, right? Entrenched in the art sphere, thinking about fashion and saying it's art. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you can have like an artsy decor for your home, but at the end of the day, that is still a coffee table. That is still a bed. That is still a thing, an entity that is there for a use case. Whereas painting can be home decor, but then it can
Mm-hmm.
also be something that can move a nation based on its reality. Like just the fact that it exists, it can help change perspectives and people's views. So yeah.
And then also like fashion is vast. So like when you say it's fashion art, like fashion is the same industry where like like slave labor and like even like the science of it, like textiles and like there's so many aspects to that. It's like
Yeah,
yeah.
there's engineering in fashion, everything. So it's like fashion can be artsy. It won't be considered art to the large swath, right? I'm not saying everybody, but a large swath of people within art. But obviously, if you are a person who sees fashion as art because you can, wear it in multiple different ways and you're adorning your body and you want to be living art and art sculpture, for instance, then within the sphere that you operate in, you'll probably be seen as that. But then when you
Mm-hmm.
start moving to, let's say, the art sphere, which is where like I kind of put CDG mainline for sure, but then Loewe, who has this massive intersection of people in art wearing Loewe, then that is probably the best media in terms of, oh, this is a creative thing. Like we have, grass growing on clothes. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Mm-hmm.
a different type of thing. And that
Mm-hmm.
sits at, close exactly what I said, the spectrum, it sits closer to the CDG mainline rather than the Zara side. And that is, totally fine because you will see a lot of people in art, regardless of, oh, this is slave labor, all of this stuff. A lot of people are just fashionable in the art space. Like just as
Yeah.
much as they love to decorate their homes or to collect artists, they love to wear clothes that do and feel exactly the same.
Yeah. Let's say Dolce said, so the runways shows could sometimes be considered closer to art than the clothes themselves sometimes, correct? Yeah, yeah, definitely. Also Dasani,
I
I
will
think it
say
depends
though,
on wait, let me just read this
yeah, go
quickly. I
on.
think it depends on the definition of art. Art to me is creating something. Every industry is capitalistic. There's people who make products and then people who make art and some that do both. Yeah, which is why it goes back to my point about the spectrum. That's why there's a spectrum because some people is more commercial, some people are more artistic. That's why you have the spectrum, and then different people sit on that spectrum. Dammy,
Yeah.
what are you going to say?
Yeah, I was gonna say that the fashion shows are considered a production. They can have installations that are art pieces per se, right? But it is still a production. It happens for
Mm,
90 minutes to sell clothes and to be awe inspiring, but at the end of the day, it ends and then it leaves.
mm-hmm,
Right? So the closest thing into art it can be is an installation. And just to the point that you just read out, there's art on one end of the spectrum, like Jeff Koons. He's, a very commercially viable artist. And he sells a
mm-hmm,
lot and he sells for a lot as well. But then Andy Warhol is somewhere between that as well, one of the highest selling artists in auction. But then there's the other side, like Ai Weiwei, for instance, who rebels
mm-hmm,
against the Chinese government, right? But there's there's so many art people, right? I can just say, a few names, and you probably wouldn't have heard of them, but they're massive in the art space. Why? Because they're not commercial to you particularly. And I think that is fine. That's just as fine as when you start saying, Zara versus CDG mainline. Like there's spectrums in all things, really.
That says Bauhaus was all about art being mass produced and functional. I
Do
mean,
you know what?
I get it in the sense that like technically anything can be, because I know people go with this like mentality of like, anything can be art. If I It's kind of, we're getting into the like Deschamps sort of realm where it's like,
Yes, it's postmodernism.
yeah, it's like, which is which, yeah, it just gets confusing at that point where it's like, yeah, like if I change the context of what this thing is, then who is to say it isn't art? And obviously you can have that conversation, it's valid, but that's just my opinion. I think it's just a spectrum, and some fashion brands and people that work in fashion exist on one side, and some people exist on the other side.
Leo said, "Damn it, here we go with Duchamps." Yo, okay, let me just say this, yeah, with the Bauhaus thing. I feel like some things in history can be misconstrued based on the way that people document things, right?
Hmm.
And what Bauhaus did for a lot of people was in a post-war era create a job classification, right? And that job classification is generally designer, product designer, industrial designer, and design engineer, and then all of the things that go that spidered off from that in terms of like you now have people that are 3D designers, or textile people that just make textiles and all of these other things, right? For Bauhaus particularly, their integral point wasn't necessarily to sell. It was to be a place, a home for people who wanted to create at the highest level outside of, let's say, a standard university system. They were like almost juxtaposed in an instance to standard education because of the way that people were educated back then. It wasn't necessarily to say, oh, we want to be commercial, but in terms of the history of each individual artist, they had to leave Bauhaus, yes, because they were broke, but not because they wanted to leave there. So there's a little bit of like mixed history, but the value that Bauhaus brought to, let's say, Dieter Rams, for instance, some people can say Dieter Rams is an artist. If you want to, that's fine. But that his era was, birthed from what happened in Bauhaus in terms of, okay, we are designing for, not just
Yeah,
beauty
yeah.
but function. So yeah, I don't want to ramble on, but yeah, I love Bauhaus and I love Dieter Rams,
No,
but
no, no.
they were in different
I think what you
places.
said is valid. I think what you said is right because, but that's what I said. Like the postmodern conversation. To be fair, sometimes it gives me a headache because
You're
one
so
thing I
real.
don't like, one thing I don't like is when things have no meaning. You know when like people say, well, this can be this, so this can be this, so this can be this. It's basically me. If we do that, words don't have meaning and language ceases to exist. You know what I mean? That means if I say hello, hello could mean goodbye, and goodbye could mean tomorrow, and tomorrow could mean. I just don't like when it comes to those kind of things. I have a tendency to not agree with that.
No, I totally understand, and just to piggyback off that, the history when Bauhaus was created, like because even Duchamps and Man of that era did not want what we're saying right now, which is the funnier part about it. I like remember back in the day when you read I believe it was the Scaparelli book, and it was talking about
Yeah,
surrealism and all of that type of stuff.
yeah,
I like that
yeah.
was
I
like a
remember.
great video. I don't know whether anyone is on his Patreon, sub to his Patreon, but there's so much value in that book of just like cultural context and clues. So imagine you're in a world now with Duchamp, and there is this idea that anything can be art, and then surrealism. right? Those
Yeah.
two like came out of point, and like there were so many different places like performance art, all of these things kind of spawned from that. But you are now turning language on its head to fit your perception, because when they say anything can be art, they're not saying, oh, a toilet can be art. He wasn't saying that. He was saying that you guys that want us to go to these Paris salons, and you pick an artist based on their classifications, and saying, oh, this person knows how to paint and render really well. That is not the idea of art that we want alone. We want
Right.
all of these things to be art. Not to say, oh, this packet of crisps can be art now. We want all we want all of these things to be art. And artists decided, yo, we like it was like, and the best thing about Bauhaus, it was that it helped spawn an industry of designers that, yo, yeah, you want to be an artist, but at the same time, you need to pay the bills, which is perfectly
Yeah, it's
fine.
facts.
So like these people designed so many things, and Campbell soup cans, and then you have Warhol, who invented pop art thereafter. And
Yeah.
it's so interesting the timeline, because as like someone who studies art, it's like you have to see the timeline and put it in this cultural context. But yeah, like they just didn't want, oh, I have to paint this, and I have to paint like this in this Paris salon to be considered an artist. That is one of their
Yeah.
main things that they wanted.
It's just sorry, I'm just reading these comments. They're
He
hilarious.
said no. He mentioned Andy. You know what? In my next, if we continue on with this, I don't feel like we will, but I won't try
Someone
to mention
literally just
Andy.
said that Chris are a work of art because of the crunch.
Chris, our
Um,
work of art.
let's see. Culture says I actually disagree with Dami's analysis, but I'm an artist. That's interesting. Culture, I'd love to know your perspective because obviously we are always open to
Fairs,
different
fairs,
perspectives.
fairs. Maggie
I'd
sees
love to
no
know,
peace
especially
without art.
especially from an artist, because I mean I'm not an artist, so it would be good to get your perspective.
Yeah, I want to
Let's
know
see. There
what
was
you
another
disagree with.
question I saw that. Okay, Joe said, regardless of democratization of info slash access to platforms, it feels the industry is becoming harder to access by people from lower income backgrounds. How do you think this shift may affect the fashion landscape?
I love this.
Yeah, I think without being like mean, I genuinely think that most, if not all, definitely not all, I'm just joking. Most good art comes from people from working class backgrounds because I think that, which kind of sounds twisted, but trauma and the kind of life experience that comes with being working class sometimes leads to a lot of good art. Like if you think of some of the most interesting fashion designers of all time, like the Gallianos, the McQueens, and all that sort of stuff. Even like Balenciaga was not from a rich family, like Cristobal Balenciaga, I'm talking about. So it tends to be the case that, and also I think when you're working class, you almost have like a chip on your shoulder where you have to overprove yourself to be accepted in a space that's full of upper class people, which lends people to being better in general. Like it makes for most working class designers you see are always better because they feel like I need to do this and this and this to keep up, whereas the rich kid is just doing the absolute bare minimum. So I think, if anything, if fashion becomes a place that, the only designers that make it are rich people, I think all the brands will just be horrible. And I think that they'll be uninspiring, to be honest. I think that's kind of what will happen. Unfortunately, fashion is an industry where everything is a bit fake. It's like, yeah, we're so sustainable. It's like, no, you're not. Yeah, we believe in diversity. It's like, not really. Like, I know that everyone can see the models on the runway, so you make it diverse. But if we look at your team, your editorial team, your marketing team, and we see the demographic, clearly diversity is not like a thing that you care about, which is fine, but like, don't pretend. What I don't like is pretending. If things are something, then okay, cool, at least we know it's something. But it's the pretending that really annoys me with fashion sometimes. Like, even me, for example, I had to have such an unconventional way into fashion because I'm not some rich kid that had, like, my mum is not Kate Moss. Like, my mum is not just gonna like bolster me and chuck me into the industry and I'm gonna have all this success. So I had to like know that, okay, the typical person that worked at British Vogue, which was the biggest magazine in the UK at the time, I can't fit in there because every single person on the editorial team is white, literally. So there's no space for me there. So I have to do the whole, I'm going to make a YouTube channel and then like go into the industry like all the way around to get in. So yeah, I just hope it doesn't keep going that way because I think that it will affect creativity. I genuinely think that most like super rich people are the most uncreative people you've ever seen in your life. Obviously, there are a few people that are, but if we're talking on average, yeah,
Yeah,
we're gonna make fashion stale.
and I yeah, and just to echo what you're saying as well, it's like I'm not trying to say that rich people can't create art, but part of what Io was saying was the ingenuity that comes from not having funds creates some great art and great spectacles because you're just without means and you just have to make it do as however you can. And there's a lot of value in that, especially from people who are from downtrodden backgrounds, or let's just say people who are from backgrounds who aren't the greatest. And yes, the industry isn't made for people who are from that place, which is why they are championed culturally. And someone there said grills are works of art, right? And I know they were being funny, but at one stage in sentiment, it's like, yeah, like there was a lot of black culture, black American culture that was like ousted from, just the conventional art practice and art realm in America. So then they had to create their own culture of art and they had to find value in their own artists and all of these other things up until Basquiat, right? And now you've got all of these Basquiat clones, but at the same time, it's like there was so much value that was there that now when it comes to, let's say, black hairstyles and now black dandyism, all of these things that are now being championed, back then it was probably the worst of the worst, right? And just to talk about us contemporarily, it's like,
Uh
yeah,
huh.
it's like the industry isn't made for us. Like, who has time to buy £1,000 worth of sewing machines, £1,000 worth of fabric? All of these other things. You have to work a part-time job, all of these things, just to make ends meet, as well as do your university degree. Those things are just difficult. Like, and in terms of, and let's say art supplies as well. You have to buy paints, you have to buy brushes, you have to buy canvases, you have to buy whatever it is you want to create. So it's like all of these things. Yeah, it's hard for some of us to be able to work and create art, but those of us that are, or create fashion, but those of us that are, it happens to have some great ingenuity in it and people think about fabrics differently. Just to use the Galliano example again,
Mhm.
um he was dyeing fabrics in, I believe it was, like, there's so many different stories that I've heard, but it was a sink or a bathtub.
Yeah.
And you know
Living, sleeping on his friends' couches
literally
and like doing like yeah.
that's the ingenuity that we're talking about. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's I don't even know how let me not even get into that conversation. What else? So let me actually say that. So rich people used to be the ones creating great art. It's a shame that is no longer the case. So guys, write in the chat who you think the greatest designer of all time is. Obviously, there's no such thing because designers are great for different reasons. Or write down your favorite designer. And I'm sure if we did a tally, most of them will be from working class backgrounds. Even if like historically, like the couturiers, a lot of them were from like rich backgrounds. Like Elsa Schiaparelli was like kind of well off. I mean, Christian Dior is definitely well off. Um, but if you do like the mass, you'll see that actually rich people are not as inspiring as you think. Even though they have all the resources historically, still, when you think of like who were the most influential designers, like Cristobal Balenciaga, Alexander McQueen, Vivienne Westwood, John Galliano, like working class.
Yeah, and you have to think some of these people were plucked, right? Every one of the great stories is that these people were plucked from obscurity into a
Hmm.
world that they had to now navigate. And when we talk about the Warhol example, he was plucked. When we talk about the McQueen example, he was plucked. Galliano was plucked. Balenciaga,
Hmm.
Cristobal was plucked, right? And that, and the wealthy benefactor of the working class person is a trope that has been going on for centuries now, right? And
Hmm.
in terms of fashion, like prior, like when we start talking about the royal, artisans and all these other people, they weren't they weren't necessarily rich people, and the royal
Yeah.
painters weren't rich people. They were people that had a point of view that wanted to paint for the wealthiest class, and most of them were plucked from obscurity. But yeah.
Yeah, someone said Madeline Vianney. Madeline Vianney was also working class, by the way, for people that don't know. As far as I know, if my fashion history knowledge is doing me well, I swear she was from like a poor family. And she's also one of the most influential fashion designers of all time. Like the bias cut, like do not play with me. Like if you do the maths, working class people in fashion are way more like influential in terms of like better designers on average than like rich or wealthy people that grow up wealthy. So that's what I mean. Like creativity, if you tally it, most good creativity doesn't come from like upper class people. I just genuinely think I don't know why that. I need to actually study that deeply, but I genuinely think part of it is to do with like if you grow up in life and life is too easy, it's hard for you to like channel nothing into like creativity. If that makes sense. Like, Dami, do you know what I mean?
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm listening. Yeah,
Like
yes,
there's a
yeah.
certain life experience that comes with being working class that you can use to channel into creativity, and I think if you grow up too rich you don't have that life experience in a way.
Mm. Yeah, and not to, single out trauma, but it's like there is that also level of ingenuity. Like, someone said shout out to Dapper Dan. Like Dapper Dan used his ingenuity as a stylish person to cut out bags, you know what I'm saying? Or to cut up,
Mm,
Louis Vuitton fabric and so on and so forth and create a hustle out of it. A lot of people that are overcoming this adversity of low funding with ingenuity is being able to create a hustle out of the thing that you're creating. And that
mm,
is why, in terms of people that come from a lower class background, or not lower class, but people that come without funds, they are championed for being able to sell their prints or to be able to create an audience and all of these things that we're able to do today. um but yeah, like I agree with your point in terms of that, because you actually need to channel something that is valuable to a large group of people, because if
mm,
we just think about it in like technical terms, you do need to create an audience for this art, and the best art makes people feel things, you know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
So it's like, and if you're channeling your feelings that aren't attached to so many people, if only like 0.001% of people understand, you go into the Alps and you breaking a nail when you're on the ski slopes, if that is your art, fine, fine. But like 99.999% of people can't relate to that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Oh, I don't think talent comes from struggle or upbringing. Talent is just innate. I don't agree with that because then why, once again, like I just said with the designers, if you think of like the most influential designers of all time and you tally it, you can see a through line there. So why is that then? Is it just that more working class people innately are more creative? Like how does that happen? Someone made a point that was, yeah, it was culture. This is a really good point. I know that if your idea is to bring something new or underexplored, but the ruling class is based on things staying the same in general, that's a really good point. That's a very, very good point.
uh so this the thing, right? What is staying the same? Because when we create art, it's not to, let's say, defund or kick people off their pedestals, stop billionaires being billionaires. It's so that people can have upwards mobility more of the
Uh
time.
huh.
We
Uh
want
huh.
upwards mobility and they have the resources. So it's an exchange that happens. So as much as you want change from, let's say, the bottom, let's say, you want
Mhm.
minimum wage to be £15 an hour, as much as like you can want that, there's an avenue for that that just so happens to be social change and not necessarily, oh, I'm creating art. Like, yeah, you're creating art for the social good and to change people's minds and perspectives, but you're not necessarily changing much in terms of, oh, these people that are in power need to leave power. You're saying the bureaucracy that is in place needs to change our living conditions, which is it's getting nuanced right now, but that is this shift in the sentiment that allows for stuff to stay the same, but also people to have upwards mobility in terms of the value that we're creating now. If someone who
Hmm.
has a law degree is and they're going to the Department of Work and Pensions, or they're going to Universal Credit and they have to get on Universal Credit because they can't find a job in law, that's pain. They're gonna have to do something about that. And now, if an
Hmm.
artist who knows how to channel all of that pain into something, then yeah, you're gonna get some great art that is valuable to certain people because just as much as the other artists can feel that pain of, oh, I got this degree, people said, oh, if I get a degree I can get a job. The person who got the law degree, the engineering degree, the doctorate degree, I know a guy right now who's working retail and he's done like 10 years worth of or not 10 years, sorry, 5 years worth of education to be a pharmacist,
Hmm.
but they're still working a minimum wage job. Do you get what I'm saying? And so they're
Mm.
going to understand it just as the other people that are working minimum wage are going to understand it. Everyone understands that hustle to do what you would love to do for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying?
I do think because I do agree with this point that the talent didn't come from the fact they were born poor; they're just innately talented. I half agree. Um, I think an upbringing can shape someone's point of view, but taste and an eye for something equals innate. I think part of it can be your upbringing because I know that when in my head I decided that I wanted to be in fashion, I felt personally that I was so far away from the typical archetype of someone that works in fashion. Like, I'm a man, I'm not gay, I'm not white. I'm not like all these things that like when I looked at most people that worked in fashion, that was the archetype. So I was like, I need to really study fashion to make sure that people don't use, oh, this guy's black though, so like, and people still do it now. Like there's times where I might say something and people be like, I don't want to hear a straight man talk about fashion. Like people literally say that all the time. So I feel like that side of me made me want to go harder, and it's to the point now where like I might go to fashion week and just start talking about like something that happened historically in fashion. Also, I did study fashion journalism, so that's also part of my education. But I might be talking about something with someone and they'll be like, what even is that? And this is someone that like they work for the brand, and I'm telling them something about the history of the brand that they work for, and they work high up in that brand. They don't know what I'm talking about. And every time that happens, I'm like, but like you work for the brand and you're head of marketing, but you don't know about the history of the brand. So like I do think that some of it is nurtured. Like sometimes if you're from a working class background or you're not as fortunate, you almost feel like you need to go harder to kind of reach the same level or to tally the same, which is definitely how I felt. So I don't think that all of it is innate. I do think that some of it definitely comes from like upbringing and circumstance. Like Alexander McQueen didn't, wake up from the bed being one of the greatest pattern makers we've ever seen. Like he had to go to Savoy, he had to, work for Romeo and all these things. He didn't just wake up from his bed and just like have those skills, right? So I think it's both. I do think there is a level of innate skill and taste and creativity, but I do think your life experience nurtures it to an extent also.
Yeah, it has to nurture it, like, if you've got a 200 square foot place, but you really want to be an art director, or you want to be a creative director, and you only have this one corner of your room to make your videos or to make your pictures, you're gonna do like the way that, like, if it burns in your chest the fact that you can't do it, versus and then people that are also from your background see that, oh, the BTS, that's why BTS became such a big thing, because how are you creating this
Mhm.
thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a
Mhm.
girl that was on TikTok that literally was making some of the best art direction people had seen in her bedroom, but
Mm.
then versus the person who can get their parents, or they can get investors to invest in their business, and then hire the best people out of university or whatever it is. And now they've got £100,000 worth of equipment and some of the best staff, from CSM or wherever it is, right? And then now they've started their business, and it's like, oh, now this person has a great eye for talent, all of these other things. Okay, yeah, you hired some great, amazing people that couldn't do what you could do, but you also had
Mm,
the resources to do that. So if you didn't, if you were unable to do that, it looks worse on you because you had all the resources and failed. It's funny, like
mm,
we have all of these jokes, right? But fashion is full of nepo babies, one, and then two, when it comes down to it, it's like there is a value system at play, and we are leaning into the value system because, yeah, a bunch of us that don't come from this upper class background do want, or let's say from a well-to-do background, do want to get hired at these places.
mm-hmm,
And it's just one of those things, and those people are going to stay rich because we've had to have ingenuity and be able to have hustle to be able to get to that place. And that
mm,
just kind of is what it is. It's like, what I'm saying?
yeah. Um, these customers are interesting. So critical thinker says, but 90% of men slash customers are straight. So this can be a bit deceptive because, okay, cool. Most of the customers for luxury, because if you think of the scale that luxury brands produce at, are straight. But the industry itself, like people that work in fashion, people that are high up in fashion, apart from maybe people on like the C-suite, almost everyone is gay. Like, trust me, I work in fashion. There's nothing wrong with being gay, by the way. I'm just saying that as a straight man, this is something that I need to navigate being in the industry, right? So you'll have people that will tell you, people tell me this all the time because people are like, oh my God, like, you're straight, ew. Like, people just say that just willy nilly in places I'm in all the time. I just have to deal with it because, I mean, that's just what people say. And like people are like, I don't want to hear a straight man talk about fashion. I don't want to this. I don't want to. That's what I hear because I work in the industry. So I'm not. The industry I work in doesn't reflect the fact that in reality, like most people are straight. I don't work in the whole world. I work in the fashion industry, and most of the men in the fashion industry aren't straight. And then also, if you really want to have that conversation, a lot of how some people get jobs in fashion genuinely is by having sex with other people, like gay men having sex with gay men. If you want to really have that conversation, like if you want to have the industry conversation. So if you are straight, you're not even like, not only are you, because like I'm not gonna have sex with someone to like improve my career, but outside of even that, because you're straight, you're also completely removed from certain conversations entirely because people almost look at you like there's no like I have nothing to gain from you, or there's no
Okay, there are
like
also
there's
people like you are. There are people who do sleep up. There are also people that it's culture. You're not going to the gay clubs where a lot of
mm-hmm,
people mingle because that's like, and you're not going to the nights. Like, not everything is a gay night, but you're not
uh-huh.
going to the club nights, or you're not going drinking, for instance, right? There's a lot of
Exactly
people that love
because
to do cocaine and other drugs or party drugs that you're not willing to do. So
but
it's like,
it's not even about willing,
yeah.
it's about you need to understand that like because it's like if you're in an industry where most of the men are gay, then if they go to a gay club, if that's where people like socialize, I'm not welcome there. So I might go, but people will feel like, why are you here? Like, which has happened a few times. And so a lot of people can use that to like progress in the industry. So when I say like I'm not the typical archetype of someone that's in fashion, that's what I mean when I say that. Also, thank you so much for the super chat, Tarek, by the way. Really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it. So yeah, I just had to say that because like just because most of the customer base is straight men, it doesn't really reflect the industry that I work in. Like even my friends from CSM will tell you when I was at CSM, you could count the straight men that were there, and these are all the people that will work in the fashion industry. Someone said you're telling them the truth because it's true. If you're straight, they'll not invite you to socials and clubbing. They don't like you sometimes if they see you as too straight. Which is true. I don't want to. I don't want to make it seem like a boo-hoo. Oh my god, so straight. Because to be fair, being in wider society, being gay is very difficult. You have to go. You have to overcome so much prejudice against you, and you have to just overcome so much bullshit from people. You've experienced probably so much homophobia through your life. So there's obviously being gay is like not an easy reality in society, but I'm talking specifically about the fashion industry, like what it is like to work specifically in the fashion industry. Someone is asking me who has slept with who. I'm definitely not telling you that.
Whoa, that is a wild
I'm
one.
definitely not telling you that.
I
You
never
guys are
knew
trying to get
that.
me blacklisted. We're definitely not doing that.
You are on the blacklist, but not that type of blacklist. So
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
not on. I'm not on that type of blacklist.
Oh, we need more black people at this event. Who should we hire? There's this one guy that does YouTube videos. What did he do? Oh, he went CSM. Okay, let's go. Oh, fam, that's jokes.
That's funny.
That's, um,
Critical thinker said the same thing happens to women. Yes, true. So if we were to flip it, like in the fashion industry, because a lot of the people in executive roles are men, that's why a lot of women don't get hired because like a lot of men they socialize with other men and those are the people that they talk to, these are the people they go out with. So when it comes to who they should hire, those are then the people that they pull from, which is why we talk about this issue all the time where it makes absolutely no sense to me that a massive customer base of fashion is women and that women's wear brands men dominate it and there's so few women that are creative directors of these major labels. I think it's crazy to me how few there are. Like if I was to think off the top of my head, we have Sarah Burton at Givenchy, we have Maria Grazia Chiuri at Dior. I'm trying to think the major labels. What other women do we have? Let me think. I guess we can say like Mucha Prada at Prada. But there's not many anyway, is my point. Yeah, Chloe, Chimena Kamali. But there's not many. And it's the same thing. That's the reason why, you know, there's such an issue with women being hired at these top roles. For that same reason that I'm explaining. It's like if you're not involved in the social circle, the people at the top, then it's very hard for them to, see you as someone to hire when the time comes because they're less familiar with you. They get on with you less because they want to have this like creepy ass banter and they can only do it if the creative director is like all these like really disgusting things that happen. That's the reason why a lot of these things happen, right? That's why the industry is the way it is. And this is also very true. Women are the biggest spenders on these brands. I know, right? It's like crazy to think about. Wait, let me see. I don't know. I feel like it never works. So like, why aren't women hired for the top role? I literally just answered that. There's so many societal factors that like lean into it. Do not blacklist our guy. He can't name names. Of course I won't do that. I don't have a death wish.
plus, that's people's personal business. They can sleep with
Literally.
whoever they like.
Wait, what did Micah say? It's peak because even though women are just as talented designers, if not more talented than men, 50% of these women in prime creative director positions are mid. Can we just free Dior, please? Maybe it's because, like, I need to, like, study that because obviously, like, when you think of, like, what designers get critiqued the most, it's probably, like, Virginie Viard when she was around and Maria Grazia Chiuri at Dior. And while I think a lot of it is valid, I think we need to talk about the fact that, like, which is why, and this is a reason why I critique Demno a lot and other people, because I don't want it to just be like I'm critiquing women, which I don't, to be fair, I actually rarely talk about female designers to the point where someone told me that, like, was it 2 days ago? Someone commented oh, like it would be good if you talk about like this design, like you update me on this designer that you've talked about and this designer, like designers that I've talked about that I love, like Isabel Beninato, who I've made a video about, or Martine Rose, or Grace Wells Bonner, all these designers that I talk about all the time, or even like Simone Rocha, and like talk about why you don't think a lot of these people are at top roles. Like someone literally commented they want me to make that video. Um, but yeah, I think we need to talk about this at some point. Why is it that the designers that do get hired, like the women, they're almost used as like punching bags, almost.
Yeah. Can I also input like, yeah, there's the cultural thing and there's the cognitive bias of like, you see these people and these people look like you, therefore you want them in these positions. But also it's like there is a pomp and circumstance to fashion. What do I mean by that?
Uh
It's
huh.
not just you have to make great clothes, it's entertainment.
Uh
It's the
huh.
way you articulate yourself. It's how much fanfare you get from the public, and it's how well you navigate the industry. Like,
Mm.
and that's not excluding men. It's like, yo, Daniel Lee, even though he's one of my favorite designers, he got shifted from one of the major positions at one of the major houses based on behavior.
Mhm.
And yeah, he can create great designs wherever he's at, but at the same time, it is an ousting of sorts. And some of these women, they don't want to participate in these systems. They don't want to be kissing people's bums and all of these other things. Like, yeah, we know some great designers, some phenomenal designers that are artistic and have the credibility and add value to what we see as our spectrum and from our side of fashion. But at the same time, it's like, yo, when you go inside that system, you are the lone person that thinks the way that you think inside that system. If you don't have that in quotes wealthy benefactor, because that is a major part of these systems, is that yo, this person went to bat for me. Shout out to Alexandra Arnault for Virgil Abloh for Pharrell that got them those positions. It's like, yo, this person has to see value in you. One, two, you have to be the type of person that's able to navigate these particular areas. And if
Mhm.
you can't do that, then it's gonna be hard for you.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, it's like literally it's gonna be one of the most difficult things you go through, and it's gonna be a culture shock.
Mm.
And just on a personal thing, that was one of the harder things for me, especially in the corporate world, because it's like we don't see a lot of execs that are women or execs that are black or execs that are all of these from all of these different backgrounds. And I wrote about this prior just to tally on that. It's like, yo, you have to one, have an interest in fashion, and then two, be able to want to be the lone black person, the lone woman, the lone anything in these rooms,
Mhm.
and you're not attached to any of the royal families in fashion. So it's like, yeah, it's gonna be hard for you if you can't like navigate these particular areas because the area wasn't built for you in the first place.
Yep. And that's kind of what I was alluding to when I was like, it's kind of like a cycle, like a vicious cycle, because when like all the execs are men, and even there have been studies on this, like there's an unconscious bias that people normally hire people that look like them on average. So statistically, if all the like execs are men, unless they are actually like going past the unconscious bias and actually being very deliberate on like who they hire and it being based on merit and those kind of things, they're just going to end up hiring people that look like them and that are like them, which tends to happen in fashion. And obviously, it's good to have this conversation. I always think about how this cycle can be broken. I definitely don't have the answers. I'm just one guy on YouTube. But I think it's definitely a valid conversation to bring up.
Yeah, man. No, it's a deep subject, and like obviously we
It
could.
is.
I don't necessarily want to get into the weeds, but I do want to at least touch on it in terms of, yo, there is value in us being in these spaces, but like ask yourself, do you even want to be that lone black person, that lone exec, that lone woman in the room, and people are making these type of jokes, and you have to just suck it up and just be like, yeah, I want to be able to be one of these people. Because when I see some of these people on stage, yo, when they're that lone person and they're like, oh, I helped create diversity in the company, all of these, those men look tired, fam.
Mm,
They look tired. They probably went through depression. They went upset. They're probably not eating or eating a lot based on like trying to manage this position that they're put in. Like
mm,
I don't know. Yeah, you have friends that are in like they work in the city, like banking and all of these. Like, yo,
mm-hmm.
as much as them man make bare money, they're tired, fam. they're, they're the most
Exhausted.
tired people that I know, fam. And not to get into it, but just, yeah, you bring value to the space because you're a black person with a particular type of view, or you're a woman with a particular type of view. But at the same time, yo, what are you giving up? What part of your piece are you giving up so that you can say to the rest of us, yo, I'm here?
Mm-hmm. This is also true what Luke is saying, that some people succeed at that because they're naturally social climbers. Like I find it so hard, bro, to like kiss ass. Like the way people do in fashion, because it's just not my nature. It's just not me. Like I just can't do it. And it does affect like how quickly I progress in the industry, but I just my being will not allow me to do it. I just don't even know how to do it. Imani said, go outside. His advice is insane. This is very true. Companies are quiet quitting DEI initiatives. That's very true. Let's see. I left the film industry for the same reason. Um, are you talking about like the whole like conversation we're having now? Because sometimes I can't keep up with the
Yeah,
comments.
yeah, no, like, do you know how many people I know? Like, listen, I studied animation, right, for film, and like
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I didn't understand, obviously, like I'm a brazen, talented, like 20-year-old black guy that's like the one black guy in the class of 200. And it's like, yeah, that's cool and everything like that. But when you leave that area, one, the industry wasn't what it was today. And two, like it costs a lot of money to actually have a home studio, for instance. Thousands of pounds worth of equipment that you're looking at, or so that you can hear me the way, so you can see me the way, all of these type of things. And then so that you can, and then thousands of pounds worth of equipment in terms of software. Like it's not easy to one be an independent designer or independent artist, but then also be an artist within the field so that you can create the right portfolio, so that the right people see you, so that you can get the right position at the right time. Like there's too many things that have to click in your favor for all of that type of stuff to happen.
Yep. Let's see. Okay, yes, I didn't want to kiss ass, so I left and didn't care about moving up the ranks. That's fair enough. Sometimes it's good to protect your mental health.
Bro, the older you get, the more you realize, yo, peace is important, fam. Peace is just important.
Someone said, wait, let me see if I can find it. Okay, there's a trade-off. You work really hard, but kissing ass is necessary if you want to climb up the corporate luxury fashion companies. It's notable. So the thing is, I understand that, but I still don't do it because I don't. What it is like in fashion, how people behave is like they don't care about you, or they're not interested in speaking to you as a human being until they find out that there's something for them to gain from you. So they will treat you like shit, and then the second that someone says, "Oh, do you know this person works with this?" They're like, "Oh my god, no way!" And then all of a sudden they want to be nice, and I just that level of fakeness, I just can't, like, my spirit doesn't agree with that level of fakeness. If I see someone, I'm going to treat them nicely, whoever you are. I don't care if you can do something for me or not. You're a person, and everyone needs to be treated with respect. I don't understand this whole, like, I don't give a fuck who you are until there's something that I can gain from you. I just maybe it's the way I was raised or my upbringing. I just cannot do it. I physically can't do that fake shit. So, and I know it affects me because I know a lot of people that do that. Oh my god, like, oh. Like those are the people that regress. but I just cannot do it. I'd rather not progress as fast than be that person. Wait, what are they saying about Micah? I'm sorry that I live a boring life. I love peace. It's the same with some uni. Someone tell you, as you literally go to the professor with a portfolio to be the taste of said professor, so you can be educated to be another mini me of the professor. Oh yeah, that's definitely true. That's definitely true for sure. Seeing shit like that play out in real time is disgusting. I know it's a bit crazy. It's very, very crazy. Wait, Dammy, who you? What question are you talking about? Okay, he did his internet disconnected. Yeah, Micah, just hop on the live, bro. Micah wants to talk about how he loves peace. I'll post the link in the chat, Micah, if you want to jump in. Head first. Let's see. I can't deal with the fakeness. Part of why I decided working in music wasn't for me, and I'm now in the museum sector, which also has many issues. Yeah, I can imagine. In fact, music and fashion kind of run parallel to each other because so many people involved in music are involved in fashion, especially celebrities, and like the PRs and all that stuff. They interlap and they interject, right? So yeah, I can imagine music is exactly the same. Like people just treating you like absolute shit. Then once they know who you are, then they treat you nicely. Like I'll give you an example. I won't mention, like, just to give you like a pure example. I won't mention what company because it's a huge company. I do not want to be blacklisted. But basically, I was working for this massive company, and the first meeting I had with this company, essentially what happened was I had to go to the head office, and in this office they have like a massive lobby where you have to wait, and then the person you have the meeting with will like come and get you and then take you to their office. So I was in the office, and like I was just sat in the corner waiting for this meeting, and then everyone that came in, like, they would, some of them, like, let's say the people working at the desk knew who they were. They were like execs in fashion or journalists that people knew or whatever. And they were like, do you want tea? Do you want coffee? Do you want, we can make you food? Like, what do you want? What do you want? And then, but they didn't offer me anything, which is fine. I don't care about these things. But for me, it's more the fakeness where like, so they ignored me the whole time. And then when they saw that I was literally having a meeting with the CEO of the company, like because they didn't know that's who I had the meeting with. They just knew that I had a meeting at a certain time. So when they saw the CEO come out to talk to me, they're like, "Oh my God, by the way, before you go, do you want anything?" And I was just like, "Why? Why don't you just offer that to people that just sit in the lobby rather than because you think I'm a nobody, not do it? And then when you see the CEO, like I'm having a meeting with the CEO, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, you're important. Let me like offer you tea now. Like can't deal with it. Because if I worked at a reception, everyone that comes in, I'm gonna offer them half of what I offer. Like if what I do is offer guest tea, I'm going to offer every guest tea. I'm not gonna offer these people that I think are important tea, and then these people that I think aren't important nothing. It's so weird. Like it's so strange.
Yeah. No, I was only just asking based on like someone may have had a question that was, I guess, outside of this conversation point.
How do you guys have profile pictures?
A login.
You have an account? Oh no, fuck that.
Yeah.
Oh whoops, language, language.
Trying to get me to monetize.
Whoopsie, whoopsie.
Yeah, man. I've been minding my
Also, by the
language.
way, if you're watching the stream, please leave a like for the stream. If
Yeah,
I say
like
so myself. Let's
this
get the
stream.
likes up.
Let's get to 100 likes, please. 100 likes.
You should
Yeah,
do
Micah,
you should do a 7-day streamathon, bro.
I was passing discovery.
bro.
What, keep the
Impossible.
cameras on the whole time? You're
Yeah,
This
just
guy
let
thinks
the
absolutely
I'm Kai
camera
crazy.
stream us
Cenat.
on, bro.
You're having
To
a
be
I
fair,
do
ball.
not have the
honestly,
resources for that.
your life is interesting though. Just get a cameraman for a week, mate. Do a couple things here and there.
How much money does this guy think I have that I can afford a
You
cameraman
know
for a
what?
whole
I'll do you a
week?
solid, bro. I'll do you a solid. I'll
Think
be
of it.
I'll be the
I'll do you a
cameraman.
solid with
Twenty-four hour
hilarious.
stream.
You are funny.
Yeah. I forgot. What was you saying? What was the last thing that you were talking about? Oh, they know Michael went to boarding school. That's hilarious. Oh yeah, I was gonna say, you
Reveal
have
my
to,
talent.
like, as someone who's worked cross industries, you just have to pick which industry's baggage you particularly don't mind carrying. Like, in my career, I've worked in film and TV, architecture, fashion, and art, and
Hmm.
all of them being creative fields. They all have those people at top and those people at bottom. Like, all the systems are generally the same because it is like each one of those are capitalistic, right? And in the music industry, it's, yo, what does this person do? What can he do for me? Or what can they do for me? So on and so forth, right? And your value is based on what you have done. It's only, by the special grace of God that some of us have like accolades or like feats next to our names that people can just let's not say that we have a face card, but when we come in, we're coming in with life experience or work experience, you get me? And that being said, though, you still have to navigate the trenches of the industry and the negativity that comes with it, because
Hmm.
all industries are like that, and you're not necessarily going to avoid it. So you might as well do something you love and carry it. Like, the instance I bring up is like, I love painting, I hate cleaning up. But at the end of the day, I still have to clean up my brushes and clean up the paint so that I can paint again tomorrow.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
yeah,
there's nothing that you're going to do where everything is going to be good. I don't think there's any job like that. If there is, congratulations, because wow,
big congrats.
a job where every single aspect of it you like is like some different kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, it's like, when it comes down to it, our value, especially coming from where we come from, it's like it is based on what we have done in the industry so that people can accept us. Unless we're somebody's son or somebody's cousin or somebody's nephew that they said, yo, pick this guy up, da 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 da, then yeah, we're gonna be treated in a particular manner, just like unpaid intern number 6,200,000
Hmm.
7. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a crazy, crazy work. You get it? Somebody said, yo, why did money say, bro said accolades? The dictionary is quaking. Listen, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it.
Micah, by the way, what did you want to say? Micah wanted to jump in the scene to tell us how he likes peace.
Wait. What? I didn't know I signed up for that. I didn't know I signed up, but I do love peace. I'm a simple man. Don't really get up to much. A hermit, if you will.
What did Rachel say? I mean, you're 100% right, and your way is best, but isn't fashion all about artifice and barriers? I guess luxury fashion is about that, but like my personal values don't align with that side of the industry, which is why, like, sometimes I say I struggle to act that way because it's not innate to me, and I'll never be like that. So I just have to find a way to deal with the fact that I just don't agree with that way of doing things. Because I know the whole point of luxury is to make people feel like they don't have access to it and they can't get in and they can't, you're not part of us, you're not with us, you're not like us. So that is what then makes people even more want to be part of the system, but they can't find a way in. But yeah, I just don't agree with that. Wait, Micah and his Pharrell Grace of God type ish. Yeah, Micah is answering questions like Pharrell. It's like he'll be like, Micah, so tell us about all this work you've been doing. It's like, God, the universe is around us. And when you have God, you can achieve anything. And then you'll just be looking at him like, is that the answer? Is there nothing else that you're going to say?
What
But let's
happened?
see, it's Italian art is based on quality of construction slash
What does that mean?
craftsmanship.
I don't know what they mean by that.
Italian art? What do you mean by Italian art? I'm gonna wait for that answer. Because we're talking
By the way,
about Italian fashion brands. Nope.
Ma- Micah answered the question like that because when you reach a certain tax bracket, that's how all your answers start sounding.
One day we're gonna look back and realize Pharrell was spitting pure wisdom and facts. I mean, I don't mind saying in public that I'm wrong. So if that tends to be the case, I'll come out and say, yeah, I was the idiot. I
Yeah.
have no issue saying that.
This is the thing. Sometimes you do have to surrender to a higher power. And
Yeah.
then there's God, and then there's the higher power that has big pockets. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Italian art is car design, everything outside fashion. Okay, okay, okay. I mean, if we're gonna talk about cars, I mean, and I like Italian cars more than the next guys, like Ferrari, Alfa Romeo. I'm all for it, but it depends what you mean by craftsmanship in a car. Is craftsmanship the design? Because I definitely think that Italians make the best designed anything, like motorbikes, Ducati, like cars, Ferrari, Alfa Romeo. Yes, I can agree with that. If we're talking like craftsmanship in terms of quality, a lot of the build quality of a lot of Italian cars are questionable as fuck. Like Alfa Romeo, that's one of my favorite car companies, by the way, and like the build quality of some of their cars is extremely questionable. So I think it depends what direction you come at it from. Oh my god, thank you so much for the super chat culture. I really,
Thankfully.
really appreciate it.
Shout out to the super chat. Big up culture delegate from the gifted.
Bro, you sound like I said that.
Thanks, Culture88 for the gifted. Big up to the chat.
Yo, like the video. Like the video. Let's get to 100 likes, guys.
Yeah, that's what streamers do. I'm not a good
Guys,
streamer.
if
I
we
need to
get
be.
to 100 likes,
Let's
we're
run up the
extending the
likes,
stream another
guys.
6 hours.
No,
If we get to
you're
100 likes.
100%
Yeah,
run up the
that
likes.
that's a you problem. That's you, bro. You will be on stream for 6 hours, not me.
Joining AMP is hilarious, by the way. We are it's Urban P. Do you get it?
Urban
We're getting
P. You
Urban
need to
P.
understand. We already have we don't need to join AMP. We have the Urban MP. We've got Micah, Dami, Finn, Hanan. Like we've already got our group going.
Trust me.
We've got the Urbans.
Yeah, Urban P's, fam. Come on.
Yeah, like we've
Yeah,
already
Urban
got the
Moolah.
Make some
Urbans.
calls on stream. Call some of your industry friends.
To say
Industry
what?
friends. Yeah, exactly.
I called you, Micah. I did phone a friend on the last
Yeah,
stream.
man. You're our Soho House correspondent. You tell us what the rich people are doing.
Also, people are talking about cars. Let me just. Culture says I heard Alfa Romeos were actually poorly made. Yeah. I think they've improved slightly, but yeah, there was a point in time when the reliability and the build quality of Alfa Romeos were absolutely atrocious. And I say this as someone who my dad was really into Alfa Romeos and always drove Alfa Romeos when I was a kid. And then I'm into Alfa Romeos for that same reason. So I've seen different generations. So yeah, it depends. Like when we say craftsmanship, like what do we mean?
Victor Hart said sometimes Italian products are built in different countries and they slap made in Italy on it. That's
I
Come on,
mean
good.
that
gang.
too.
We've been known that one, gang.
That's true too. That's definitely part of it.
Balenciaga is fake. And the Mule Mustang what Van Verendonk.
I don't know what that means.
Leave it alone. I'm gonna
What a
stop reading
van
that.
bad and donk.
Your dad, who is a Nigerian oil baron.
Apparently, my dad is a Nigerian oil baron. Apparently,
Come on, mate. Have you already chatted about Antwerp, or are you going to tell the chat about, you know?
Oh, the
I
bingo
spoke
card.
about I spoke about it briefly because I'm planning to make a separate video about it where I'm just gonna do like my pickups. But I kind of already showed the pickup. It's not many things. It's a
No,
book,
but
a
what are you doing?
sweater,
You were doing up
and a
lifestyle, guys. You went to a
and a
Michelin star
Dries
restaurant.
Dries Van Noten fragrance that I absolutely love. Like
How much was it?
absolutely divine.
How much
It
was
was so retail was 295. Wait, why are you laughing?
The way you had to take a deep breath.
it? Yeah. Yeah, he's like,
No, because it's like
the retail price.
So the thing
No,
is
'cause
about
I-
retail.
no,
like
because
me
I had to
talking to my
think
mum,
about
fam.
it.
I'll be like,
I had to I had to think about it. Because I was like, okay, retail's 295 because I was thinking of how much tax I got off and then exchange rate. That's why I was thinking about it. So it was 295 euros retail, which came to like 260 something pounds, and then I got an extra 50 pounds off for tax. So it ended up being 210.
First.
So it was still over 200. And how many
Yeah.
milliliters is it?
100 mil. But I think
So it's
you're
£2
paying.
per mil.
Do you know what you're paying for? You're paying for the bottle because there's a 200 mil refill thing, and it costs damn near the same as like this 100 mil bottle, which means you're basically paying for the bottle, which is cool as shit. Like they warned me when I was traveling to be careful because this bit here is actually made of actual ceramics.
Oh, that's sick.
So if it drops, GG. But it's so nice to like look at and feel.
Shout out to Casamigos. They should put a bell on top of it.
Has Dolce Jeans ever joined a live before?
I think so.
Dolce Jeans, can you hop on, please?
The
Has
bottle
he?
is
Wait,
okay.
has he joined a live? I don't actually think he has. To
I
be
want to
honest.
interrogate my man.
Oh my god, Micah.
I
We're not
want
going to bring him onto the stream.
I want to see what's
You
going.
started with hostility. I don't think he's gonna jump on.
It's not even hostile. It's a friendly interrogation.
Micah, we are not
It's a
inviting someone on the
friend-
stream
Not yet,
to be
I got work, but
interrogated.
maybe in an hour or another day.
We in the castle with our amigos, Leo.
So it's not yet, but I got work an hour, maybe another day later on. Yeah, good answer.
Nah,
I said I
Jeans
got
should've
work.
jumped in.
The work
What's your
he's talking
government
about
name,
is
Dolce
sleep.
Jeans? What should we
That's
call
what
you?
he's saying.
Do you like when people call you Dolce Jeans? Or are you like a David?
I forgot his Govy. Does he ever give his Govy in his videos?
I don't know, I'm about to find out, innit?
By the way, guys, there's a misconception because Io calls me Dammy all the time. That my name is Dammy. It's not Dammy. It's it's Damilare.
Yeah, it's just a Nigerian thing. You just call people Dammy, but yeah, it's Dammy Larry.
Trust me, yeah. There's
Call
rarely
him his full
anybody
name,
else.
guys.
Mark Jacob G.
There's literally two people that call me Dammy, and I kind of allow it. They used to be free, but I don't talk to them no more for other reasons.
Oh, Rachel's asking me what fragrance I got. Let me put it on the screen. So you guys can read through the notes and shit.
I want you guys to know, yeah,
Or if I just
that
made that
like
up?
I was asking my friend who works at Dior, yo, how much in general are your fragrances with your discount, yeah? And they were like, oh yeah, Savage is usually no a fragrance. They said, yo, it's usually like £80, $80. I was like, $80? What? Amber Nuit? And they were like, no, I thought you were talking about Savage. I was like, listen, just because we're in a
I would have
bougie
just hung
part
up.
of the
I can't lie.
conversation, I was like, listen, I'm never talking about Sauvage ever in life. Like, get me
Yeah.
back on the feet, please.
What I could do is actually I could run through like all the Dries fragrances because I smell all of them now. Also, I smelt the Andy fragrance. I wasn't expecting it to smell the way it smells. It smells very leathery, which makes sense because I guess like Andu Maester uses a lot of leather and stuff. But I don't know. I just didn't expect it to smell like that. Okay, so let's go through. Where do I want to start? Should I start from the bottom or the top? Yeah, so these fragrances here are like the new Dries Van Noten fragrances. These are colognes. I don't actually personally like any of these three. Just not a fan. I don't think they smell necessarily bad. It's just not my taste. I prefer the like the earlier line of fragrances. So Rose Carnivora is like a blast of rose with like earthy tones. It's like if you got Rose Absolute and mixed it with soil. That's how Rose Carnivora smells, if I'm like describing it well. Culture said I love the Dries bottle designs. Yeah, they are absolutely amazing. Which one smelt the most feminine and warm? Let me have a look through again. Most feminine and warm. I mean, Raving Rose is sensational. I love Raving Rose. I mean, like you guys know, when it comes to fragrances, I get confused. Like, what is feminine and masculine? I guess we consider what feminine is by it having floral notes and
Fruity
things.
and
Yeah, like fruity, floral, vanilla. I
yeah.
guess. And if we're going based on that thing, I think Raving Rose is definitely very feminine in that sense, and I'm a big fan of it. I'm trying to think. There's one that I was like, that smells so weird. I think it's Crazy Basil. Yeah, It smells so strange. It's so like, and I love it by the way because I think that the perfumery in the Dries collection is very unique. It's very, very unique. Santal Greenery is the only fragrance that I think is basic as fuck. I think Santal Greenery smells like every green fragrance I've ever smelt by like every brand. That is the most like clean, commercial, safe fragrance in the line by far. One of my other favorites is this one, Fleur de Mal, with the osmanthus note. Sensational fragrance. I got a sample of Fleur de Mal, even though I like bought Rock de Mer. I got a sample of Fleur de Mal. Fleur de Mal is
out of
so
the ones
nice.
so the one you purchased, is that was that your favorite one?
Yeah, Rock the Mer. Yeah, it's like ambery. It smells a bit ambery. This is the one I got.
I love amber.
So yeah, it's very, very, very nice. Very, very nice indeed. Wait, why is Imani saying that she doesn't have a Dries store near her? Mike, are you telling her to go smell the fragrances?
No, I was saying that
Yeah.
most of, because she said she bought a discovery kit, and I was saying most discovery kits, if you stroll in store, you can just get it for free rather than dropping $70 or £50. But then she said there's no store, so obviously you have to go to the discovery kit. There's no store.
Oh yeah. To be fair,
Also, before you
Oh,
so what you said, Amy.
This guy,
No,
this
I
guy's
just
smiling.
No. I just want to say something quickly that by the way, to the people watching this, I actually really appreciate you because when I was in Nigeria not too long ago, someone messaged me on Instagram. I don't know if like he wants his information to be disclosed. I'll just say someone. Someone messaged me on Instagram, and he's worked in the fragrance industry for like years and years and years, and he studied chemistry, so he's like proper like fragrance person, and he was like, there's a lot of like information and opinions that, you know, people have online about fragrances that are like not right. And he likes my audience and he feels like my audience can benefit from like me learning more about the way the fragrance industry works, which was very insightful because I don't work in the fragrance industry. I just buy fragrances. So that was very, very insightful, and he really gave me so much information on the way the fashion industry works, the way it runs, the way it functions, and like any question I had, he was willing to answer. We were literally talking on Instagram, like an Instagram call for hours, like 4 hours. So that was amazing. So I just want to say, if he sees this, I really, really appreciate it. So yeah, that's
Can
all
you
I wanted to say. I
can
don't
you
know what
play
Micah thought I was going to say.
can you play some like of that like inspirational music in the background, and then you give us a motivational speech?
The most commercial fragrance I actually have is Margiela Replica.
But that's goated. Wait, is that?
Which one?
I thought that's the product line, not the name of the fragrance.
Yeah, it's a product line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which
so
one?
which one?
I got multiple. Don't worry about
Oh,
it.
fair enough.
Oh, okay. All right. Damn, he's bowling.
Yeah, you know
I'm
what? He
joking.
said it like that just to flex on us. That's like me being like, yeah, my best purchase ever is Bottega Veneta Ep.2.
No, I said most commercial.
Yeah, which one?
Yeah, which
They are my
piece
one
from the
for me.
collection? He's like, I just have so many.
They're literally they're quite literally my most commercial. You know, you know what, Leo? Because you said that, Andrew called me DG. Yeah, I do like Jazz Club. Actually, I didn't like Jazz Club when I first smelled it, but yes, I do like Jazz Club today. Back then, I did not.
Yeah. Oh my God,
Keep
thank
up
you
the
so much for the
Brokekeeper
super
facade.
chat, Imani. Let's see what she says. Here's a little money to keep up the Brokekeeper facade. I support black wrongs and rights.
You know, you
That
got
is
moving
hilarious.
breaded tonight. Chat's moving breaded.
That is so funny.
Oh, to be fair, if I wasn't moving camera shy, I'd show my new tie that I've been wearing every day.
I love that tie, by the way.
It has me in a chokehold, man.
That tie is sensational. I was gonna buy it, but since you
You were
bought it,
gonna
I'm
buy
like,
it.
yeah. But since you bought it, I'm like, well, I'll just wear yours.
You know what I clocked though? That I
Yeah.
clocked it about all of these brands. None of these brands put.
I love black tie. You're covering
Oh
your
wait,
mouth,
I'll put this
Michael.
in context for everyone actually. So I recently bought a tie that I guess is exotic leather. I didn't realize until after, but then it was from a brand that I didn't really realize they actually sell exotic leather. And then I realized that all these brands, like most of the kind of like high fashion brands, they don't put their exotic leathers on the website. I presume to not attract attention from like Pater or like whoever. But then in store they just have them. So yeah, the tie I bought, which was like snake skin or python skin, it's just nowhere to be seen on the website. But then you stroll.
But you didn't explain. I feel like you didn't go through that properly because they have it in store, but it's not like just on display. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
you have to like,
it's like
yeah,
in the back. I had to ask. For it.
exactly. You have to ask. It's in the back. It's not
But
like just on
I just feel
display.
like that's so sus. I didn't know they were moving that sus. Like I feel like that's sus because loads of these brands will come out and publicly be like, yeah, we don't sell exotic leather, and you just do. Like,
Yeah,
you
but
literally just
but
do.
Micah, we've already come to the conclusion that these brands just be lying out of their teeth. So at this point, it's just like, yeah, we know that they just lie all the time. It's like we don't use any, exotic furs anymore. It's like, bro, you literally ask and it's literally in the back. Like, is this not in the open?
Yeah, you know what? Who is eating sweets? It's not me today. I mean, I have Skittles, but I'm not touching them right now.
Luke asked me if I'm going to start an ASMR channel. Would you guys subscribe to the ASMR channel if I made one? Like, hello guys.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Luke.
Go
for
to
saying
sleep.
that.
Luke loves the ASMR.
Not the ASMR thing. He had a recent message that I'm not gonna repeat.
Oh yeah, where is Lamfari?
I have no idea. Yeah, perfume ASMR. Just.
It's Dichi, man. He's munching something.
Oh, you can hear me.
Yeah.
Of course we can hear you. That's why people said it's ASMR. Of course we can.
You know
hear
what?
Loud and clear.
You know what? Yeah, because I've got a compressor in my mic. I thought you couldn't hear it, but my audio
Nope.
gain was quite high, so that's why you can hear it. You can't hear it now though.
I kind of want to set a profile picture now because you guys have profile pictures.
This guy's about to put something really unserious as his profile picture.
Oh, should I put a picture with my hair? These lot are
Imagine
literally
this, spraying an entire bottle of Drees perfume ASMR live stream. That's crazy. £210 on one video. Imagine spending £210 on one video. I'd be broke very quickly. People would be like, oh my god, I thought you cared about sustainability. How dare you be so wasteful? You wasted all that Jews Van Noten fragrance on the floor. Micah, what do you have 10 working days to respond?
Am I communicating from the hot tub? I will not be answering that question at this time.
Michael, can you go close to your mic, please?
I'm very close to my mic right now.
Oh my god, jeez.
I appreciate
It's almost
that.
made me deaf.
Yeah, sorry for the chewing. I actually hate when people do that on mics. But that munch was absolutely delightful.
Can you tell us more about it?
I know, right? I heard that, Leah. This has become an ASMR live stream where it's like, doo-doo-doo-doo.
Oh, wait, you guys heard that? Whoopsie.
Yeah, we heard it.
It's because I'm trying to make a profile picture real quick.
Honestly, I'm trying to get Io's level of knowledge on fragrances and owls. Owls and Ios.
I still wouldn't say
you
like
guys have time for all these hobbies.
I wouldn't say I'm like an expert on fragrances. If it's fashion, yes, I'll definitely say that. But like with fragrances, like for example, that person I had a call with is like the expert on fragrance, like works in the fragrance industry, study
Is it a guy
chemistry.
that I
Like
know?
No.
All right.
There's remember the guy we met in Paris? I've also been
Yeah.
speaking to him, by the way, because I'm gonna
Same.
go see his fragrance collection. So for guys that don't know, backstory, there's a vlog actually that from when I went to Paris Fashion Week, and we met this guy who's a perfumer, and he was actually in perfumery school in Paris at the time that we met him. So obviously he like wants to work in the fragrance industry. He's very knowledgeable. He's literally in school for it, and he like I've been speaking to him because he wants to show me his fragrance collection, which I am so looking forward to, and just like
Why does
teach me
that
about
sound like a
different
euphemism?
fragrance things. So yeah, should be cool.
Ignore him. Yo, and I really feel like I need to be there, but I hope I'm not working that day. I've been speaking to him as well. Shout out to
I'll
him.
let you know that the day we schedule something. I'll let you know, and if you're free, definitely come by.
That was one of my favorite days in Paris. Like us just walking around. It was like 30 degrees that day or something weird like that.
It was really hot.
And I
Yeah,
could wear a short sleeve t-shirt or shirt and just man, we were and it was so serendipitous the way that we met him as well. And he like I believe the shop was quite expensive. It was like a niche fragrance shop also. So
yeah. It was really random because I think he was wearing something. I think he was wearing a Dries Van Noten piece, and I was like, that is such a nice piece. And then he was like, because I normally compliment people if like I like the outfit. So I was like, oh, that's like, I really like your Dries Van Noten piece. And I was like, oh, thank you very much. I like what you guys are wearing. And then we just started talking. It's like, what do you guys do? You guys look like you're here for Fashion Week. And then we started talking and then found out he's a perfumer. And then the shop that he was by was literally where he was working at the time. So it was like, come into the shop, come and smell the fragrances for the brand I work for. And that was like really cool. And that is all in the vlog, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't mean to call you an expert, but you do know much more about top notes. You know what I'm saying? More all of that type of stuff more than me. And the
I
plant.
know, I would say I know more about fragrances than the average consumer, but I definitely wouldn't call myself a fragrance expert.
Much more. Aside from the chemistry, you know quite a bit.
Yeah, because when it comes to the chemistry side of fragrances, obviously I'm completely clueless. I don't like working like, because like the person who I had the Instagram call with, he was like saying shit, and I was like, yo,
No,
I have
man. Give
never,
yourself some credit though. You know, a
I
little
have
bit
never
about
heard of
polarization.
that. What is bro talking about? Micah, why are you so unserious? Yeah, he was mentioning chemicals. He was like, and the reason he'll be talking about something and be like, and the reason why this happens this way is because of this chemical called da 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 da. And I'm like,
What and are they all
never heard of
hydrocarbons?
it.
Man's like the benzyl propane protein.
Like, never heard of
Attaches to
that. But that's his background. He studied chemistry to work in the perfume industry, so obviously that's his thing. But he's so nice, honestly. And he was like, any question you have about fragrances, just ask me and I'll like answer. And even if I can't answer, like I work in the fragrance industry, so that there's someone I can ask on your behalf. I was like, wow, the Urbans are amazing.
Yeah, man. Shout out to you guys, all of you guys at home or wherever you are listening to us. Share it
Shout
with a
out to
friend.
you, Urbans.
Wow, only 2 people liked the video since I said like the video. Like the video. Like the stream, I mean. Let's get to 100 likes before the end of the stream, guys.
Well, who do you guys think has some of the best fragrance bottle designs right now?
Okay, now we'll talk about my area. I like this.
I mean, Dries Van Noten, number one. Like, look at this beautiful
That's
design.
recency bias.
Beautiful, beautiful design. I mean,
I personally feel like it's kind of mid, but okay.
no, Bottega is definitely there too. Bottega, their new bottles is really their bottles are cool. Micah,
Yeah.
do you have a? I think you have one of their fragrances, right? Because I know you had
I'm gonna say
samples, but
no.
I didn't. Okay,
I'm
because
gonna
I didn't
say
know if
no.
you actually bought.
I just have an unlimited supply of the Discovery set at the moment. But I don't have
Yeah.
the bottle.
Because I know, like, even I can't remember which one you gave me, but that one smelled really nice. I'm trying to remember which one it was.
I think it was Colby de Sole.
Yeah, I think it was. It was very, like, citrusy. Let me see what the notes
That
of
looks
this
beautiful.
Yeah,
The silhouette-
Mediterranean sun. Yeah, it was this one. It was this one.
The silhouette of that
Um,
is actually
I've been
charming.
using lately is a Deja Minuit. I've been using that like every day.
Bergamot. Yeah. This is definitely this one. Trying to think, what other fragrance bottle? I think I like interesting fragrance bottles, but I don't like ones that are too over the top. Like, let me give you an example of what I mean. Like, some fragrance designs are just like, bro,
Man said it's a bit too wacky for me.
it's a bit too wacky. Like, let me see. People in the chat are funny. People are saying that I type with aggression.
Yeah, who are you fighting, man?
Like, stuff like this, I just find these bottles like too wacky, bro. It's just like, it's a bit too OTT. I'm trying to think. Fragrance bottle designs. So many brands these days, their bottle designs are boring as hell. Everyone just goes for the minimal look, like Dior Privé, Chanel, L'Exclusive, Celine. It's just a plain ass bottle.
Yeah, like, and also because fragrances are quite cheap to make in terms of the quantities that you're allowed to create, and creating an easy bottle for a mold is cheaper than making a lightning bolt, for instance, or making one with ceramics. So yeah. Like, design wise, I'm not a massive fan of the Dries one. However, technicality wise, like, I do like it. You had to engineer that bottle, and that's amazing, because putting glass with ceramic is, it's not the easiest thing to do, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, with fragrances, to be honest, like, most of the cost in fragrances is not actually the fragrance itself. It's like the packaging and the bottle and like all that. Which is exactly why Dries Van Noten will charge you 200 ml of the refill bottle, which is basically the same price as 100 ml with the bottle. That literally shows you that most of the cost is in the actual bottle itself and the packaging.
Yeah. My replica refill is quite literally almost the same price as my replica itself. And I'm actually contemplating whether I should even get a refill. Same thing with my Tom Ford, to be fair.
Micah, did you just show your face just to show Skittles? This guy is so
I don't know what you're
unserious.
talking about.
I don't know why he did, like, is Skittles paying the Urbans? Like, I don't know. They are my favorite
That's between me
sweets.
and Skittles, man.
I want a Skittles sponsorship. I might email
See,
them.
with your background in materials engineering, you could easily take some online perfuming classes at the IAO and you'll pick it easily. Maybe. I'm definitely interested in it because I am very passionate about fragrances, even though I'm not an expert. And I always would like to learn more about it. So anywhere I can learn more about it, I'm very curious.
I can't lie.
Yeah.
I respect all these people that are studying who studied like chemistry or whatever to do perfumery because chemistry I think is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. A level chemistry was so difficult.
Was
Like
hard
no,
as
like that's
hell.
actually like real heady stuff, like really racking your brain. So I respect it.
Wait,
I
Michael, you
respect it.
did a STEM subject as A level.
I only did STEM subjects.
Wow, that actually,
Dammy, we're
yo,
Nigerian. Why are you asking
your
questions you
law
know
is
the answers to?
crazy. Your law is crazy. I didn't even know that.
We are Nigerians. Why are you
Oh
why are you
no,
asking questions you know the answer to?
yo, I thought Michael just vibes.
Oh,
Vibes
so
and
Leo, what's peak, Leo, is GCSE chemistry is all fun and games. GCSE chemistry is a walk in the park.
yeah,
When you
it
get to A
literally is.
level, I kid you not, my first lesson, they were like, yeah, so everything we taught you
Everything
in
is wrong.
GCSE, it was a lie.
Yeah.
That's what they said. They
That
were like, oh,
happened to
everything we
me
taught you is
too.
a lie.
That's funny,
Just forget about
bro.
it, and we're gonna start again from scratch. I was like,
We
oh.
That
are
happened to me too.
we
At
are
GCSE, I got
Nigerian.
an A star, so I thought, oh, A level's gonna be a walk in the park. Toughest thing I've ever done. Toughest thing I've ever done.
No, I genuinely think that A level chemistry was harder than the chemistry I did in chemical engineering. But I will say that chemical engineering, the focus isn't on chemistry. So our chemistry was not, it wasn't a chemistry focused degree. It's more of like a physics and maths focused degree than chemistry. But even like, bro, the periodic table is completely different. Because
Yes.
like, when you learn like hydrogen 1, helium 2, lithium 3, beryllium 4, but then when you do like A level, like there's so many like decimal points and it makes the calculations way more complicated because now you need to do it to like 6 7 decimal points, and it's like, bro, why why do they teach us the wrong stuff just to tell us it's wrong? Like,
Even like the
okay,
way electrons work and stuff like that, the way you learn it at GCSE is like completely different to the way it is later on.
yeah, because I think like if I remember correctly, like carbon is actually like, because when you, I'm trying to think of like some of the specific numbers because I remember like
Oh, I
carbon
remember.
is
So they'd say,
Carbon is definitely 12. I know boron is like, I think 10.8 or something. I think neon is like 20.2. Magnesium is 24.3. Bro, I'm not even trying to crack my brain today. This is, I've given,
Yeah, I was about
my
to say
science days are in the past.
see, the problem is, yeah, I love when you guys talk about this type of stuff. However, once you start adding numbers to a sequence of things, my brain, it low key just switches off. I can't even, I actually have to hyper focus on what you're saying. We were talking about bottle design and I was tuned in. Once you start saying, yo, the formula to create this is, yo, my brain, after you say three numbers, I'm done. I'll be real.
Wait, Luke said I got a U in my
Okay. Okay.
in my final A level chemistry exam. Most embarrassing moment ever.
That
Look,
being said,
Luke,
yo,
I got a, what did I get in what was it? Because you know you do like, when I did A levels anyway, you do like 4 AS and then in your final year you do 3 A2, so you have to drop one subject. And it's quite funny because I absolutely failed physics in A level. I think I got like an E. And then obviously I wanted to study chemical engineering, so I had to redo AS and A2. And obviously I did well in the end, and that's like I got an A, which is why I was able to study it at uni. But like I flopped it so bad. And I remember, Micah, do you remember like our parents when I got my results?
wait, for uni or for A levels?
No, for A levels.
I
Like the
don't
first
remember.
time when I
Was I
flopped.
was
Oh, okay.
was I
I
was it in
think you I
England?
think you were there,
Or
bro.
was it in Nigeria?
They no, it was in the UK.
Maybe I
Bro, they
wasn't
were
paying
not
attention.
happy. They were not happy.
Did they crash out?
Yeah, they did.
Yo, I know a friend, yeah, obviously Nigerian. Um, he got a C in, I think it might have been chemistry or physics. It was a science subject for sure. He got a C in AS, and he started all over again. Literally said, "Yo, I'm not doing this. Like, I need to go Oxford. Like,
Oh my god.
I'm gonna start this whole thing over again."
Oh my.
And that made complete sense to us. Like as Nigerians, that literally made complete sense to all of us. We were like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, you gotta you gotta start again.
No, I definitely think the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life is chemical engineering at uni, bro. That thing was so hard. Like, that I remember in lectures, and I went to uni with some of the smartest people I've ever met. We would just be in lectures like, what the hell is this
No,
lecturer
you know them ones where
talking
you're just
about?
scratching your head. You're just scratching your head
Like,
looking at the
what
board.
is this guy writing on the board? Like, what? And because chemical engineering is like a mixture of fluid mechanics, heat transfer, energy balance, engineering, mathematics, and I think there's one I'm forgetting. But those are the those are the five pillars. Sorry, when you study a chemical engineering degree, and all of them are just hard as fuck. Like the amount of formulas you have to memorize for fluid mechanics. Oh my god! Like, bro, I thought further maths in A level was hard until I did like fluid mechanics and engineering maths. My
What's
gosh.
mad is I genuinely can't
My
imagine it
gosh.
getting harder than some of the stuff I was seeing at A level. So
That stuff
it
was
spins me that
hard.
it got harder. Like
Like, that stuff was hard. Like, oh my gosh. That stuff was deadly. Like, I never want to see any of those formulas ever again, bro. And the funny thing is, because I remember I did an internship when I was studying chemical engineering, and when I sat down, they just gave me a book, and I was like, "Oh, what's this book for?" They're like, "Oh, every formula you could ever need is in this book," and I was like, "So why do you have to memorize this?" Like when in reality, you just have a book where you just, if you need to calculate something, you can just reference the book. So why would I need to memorize it? Because I think that's also what makes the exams hard. You have to memorize hundreds of formulas.
Yeah, no. Shout out to
Fluid
you, man.
mechanics sound like something in gender and sexuality studies class.
Oh wow. And Imani, I went to a public school, one of the worst public schools. I went to two public schools actually in secondary school. Um, the first one closed down because of violence, gang violence. Um, they gang violence in uniforms. The second one is still going, but they changed their name so that they can get more government funding. It didn't work. Um,
Yeah.
and I went to college. I didn't do A levels. So yeah, like I needed to leave that school because it was literally like not the best. I don't know whether it was the worst, but it definitely wasn't the best.
Yeah.
We were only good when Ofsted came to school. That's how deep it was.
Ofsted visits. I forgot about those.
Yeah. This is true in a sense that like you're expected to memorize the book so you can do the formulas quickly. But at the end of the day, like so long as you know how it functions and how it works, I think you should have leeway to be able to. Because to be honest, the funny thing about chemical engineering is that even if you know the formulas, it doesn't really mean much because you need the formulas, but if you don't know how to use them, you still won't go anywhere. Like I could give a random person every formula, they wouldn't know what they're doing. They wouldn't know how to calculate what they're calculating.
The formula is normally the easiest part of the equation. Or like
Yeah,
whatever
so
you're
just because they
doing.
give you the formulas, it doesn't actually change much. It just makes the exam that much harder. You just have to memorize all of them, but it doesn't actually help much. Apart from the fact that okay, I know the formula, so I can continue the calculation. But and some calculations, like I remember when I was doing engineering maths, where there are some equations that don't have an answer. So like you just keep going through the equation and you just get to a point where like there's no answer, but you're marked on like how far you can expand the equation basically, but there's no answer. And I was like, what? What is the point of this?
I want you guys to know, yeah, I am good at practicals. I am actually good at these practicals. But as soon as you add a number and I have to look at the page and see numbers, I stop.
Wait, what practicals? You mean
Like
equations?
let me say what's it? Thermodynamics. Like I study thermodynamics and like mechanics. Anything to do with mechanics really.
I
I
hate mechanics.
like car mechanics, you know what I'm saying? Design engineering,
Oh, that kind of mechanics. I thought
CNC
you meant like physics
and
mechanics.
the yeah, no. Like like what you guys did, yeah, man. Shout out to you, man. If I have to look at numbers on a page, I'm telling you, like, and if I have to see that little E, that's a zigzag, or when we started doing costs in turn, like all of that type of stuff, or the calculator, we need a scientific, yeah, no,
What's
like,
funny is that it gets worse than that. You start working with what are, like imaginary numbers and stuff, and
yes, yeah,
that's when I was like, oh yeah, I'm good, guys. Like I'm actually
my
good.
friend is a mathematician. He tells me like literally like when we have conversations and we're talking about it and it's like, oh yeah, you do this and you get this and like me and him are there. But once he starts going to the paper and like he has this big board for one equation, yeah, I'm out of it. I'll be real. I'm out of it. I know my place. I know my place. It's if I don't win as a designer, that's it. Like I know I can't do what you man do, bro. I'm done.
No, they'd ask you like one question, and the question would fit on one line. Bro, I'm telling you, it's like 4 pages of working out just to get
Oh
the
yeah,
answer.
yeah,
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 I
yeah.
know.
Bro,
Bro, all
bro.
my, all
In
my,
in uni, engineering maths, literally, they would give you like a whole booklet for your calculations because like a question you could use 10 pages, bro, easily,
yeah,
easily.
like I thought I was good at engineering until my friend introduced me to aeronautical engineering. I was like, you know what? Yeah, this it just isn't for me. Like I know, like I know my place. I couldn't imagine, like, because obviously, like, I like designs, I like, structures of things and all of these and all of that. But when it comes down to it, if I have to do a paper, yeah, I'm done. I'm actually finished.
But it's also like because I remember when I was studying chemical engineering, like in first year, I think the first term actually, the whole focus was on like health and safety, and all we did for the first term was talk
Yeah.
about different case studies of things that have gone wrong in chemical engineering and how you can avoid it. And that stuff made me so scared because like obviously if you design something and it explodes or whatever, you're going to jail for
Bro, that's a
manslaughter.
long
So
day. You're having a
so
long
you
day right there.
so you literally have to, and there was a plant in China that like exploded that they showed us. I was like, yo, bro, it damn near took out a whole like town. Like because someone like didn't do the fluid mechanics calculations properly. So because basically to kind of I don't want to like bore people in the stream. It's like a fashion stream, but basically in like a let's say a petroleum plant, you have to balance the levels of liquids in each pipe and the way that the liquids move, if you don't, because you have valves that you use to stop the liquids at certain points, and you're constantly calculating it at all times and constantly making sure that the pressure in each pipe makes sense. And I think this guy didn't calculate it properly, so one pipe had too much pressure and it exploded, and obviously it's literally a petroleum plant, so then everything exploded and then the town exploded and like everyone died.
Damn.
And it's and it was just like, bro. So I remember when I did an internship in one of those plants, I was like fearing for my life, bro. I was calculating like my life depended on even though it wasn't a real plant. It wasn't a real plant because they have like simulators. So obviously I'm a beginner, so they're not going to let me go on like the real one. So I was on a simulator and I was making mistakes, but I was still calculating like my life depended on it.
Yeah, like when it comes to like let's say the mechanics I like, right? So like aeronautical dynamics and car dynamics, yeah, and engineering. In terms of doing aerodynamics, being able to design a car, knowing that you have to have certain tensile strengths, all of these other things, and like crumple zones, and creating the engineering around a car or a plane, calm. If at any point I have to pick up a pen and paper and not draw something, I'm finished. I'm actually done. No, man, you guys, shout out to you, man. Could never be me.
I mean, I didn't say I was particularly good at it.
Listen, just the audacity is enough for me because I never had the order. Like, I remember I was 16. I told my parents, listen, yeah, I'm not doing another exam. I'm finished with exams. After this, I'm done. Part of that was because of how rubbish my school was, but the other part of it was I know that I'm better at practicals and coursework than I am at any of those like tests. Like, I can't study for months and months on end for one test that will decide my future. I'd rather do it in increments.
The thing is, has an equation even ever saved someone's life? Like in day to day, do you think you ever use like equations or like
Yeah,
any
I
kind of
do.
math? What
When it's
for
like
what?
20%, when it's 20% off something, I have to figure
Oh,
that
okay,
out.
first,
What's 10% off this?
first.
I definitely use equations sometimes, for
For
sure.
what? For what? What do you use them for?
I'm trying to think because there's times when I've just like done an equation quickly and people are like, how did you do that? How do you calculate it so fast? But it's just like, bro, I studied engineering. I'd know like faster ways to do that shit. But it's not, I'm not using it to save anyone's life, bro. I'm not like a, I ain't no doctor.
But what those things taught you, and this is something that like I talk to my like my technical STEM friends that are on that side. It's like it helps you with certain life like ethics and all these other things. So like a squared plus b squared equals c squared. It helps you come to certain conclusions based on the nuances of life, right? So
How?
if so, okay, wait, I don't want to delve too deep into this, but I'll give you the example that we speak about. So let's say someone is not feeling too well or feeling upset, like you can come to the assumption that they're not going to have a particularly good day. That is the simplest way that I can put it. So because of this causality, like cause and effect, so it's like, and cause and effect is a mathematical thing that people have adopted into life. It is not a, oh, this was some sort of philosophy. It was based on mathematics, and then people are like, oh yeah, that works in this day and age because a mathematician was able to break it down to its simplest form. But yeah,
First,
we use a squared plus b
someone
squared equals c squared all the
Someone
time.
actually asked the question I'm going to answer. Fat Tony. For people looking to build a personal brand like Fashion Roadman, for example, in 2025, anything you'd recommend starting from zero, kinda? I
Yeah,
mean,
tell
to
us,
be
bro. I'm
honest,
actually starting from. I feel exactly
We,
the
we were
same way.
having this conversation the other day, wasn't we, on our last phone call? So yeah, I want to know what your perspective
yeah,
is.
I think everyone has expertise in different things. I can only advise you on how to start a like if you want information on like how to start a YouTube channel and how to get a YouTube channel that grows and stuff, then I can give you tips on that. And then you can leverage, I guess, your YouTube audience to build a personal brand elsewhere. But I'm not good at like there are people who have built a personal brand by starting a Substack. I don't have a Substack, so I don't know how to do that really. I don't have the expertise on that. So I think it depends. But if it's to do with social media, then there are certain strategies that you use. Like it's good to learn SEO. It's good to learn how to make content. You actually also have to provide value. I don't think anyone watches content unless it's like entertainment. Especially if it's fashion. Like you have to either be really entertaining or really knowledgeable, where people feel like they're gaining value from watching you. Otherwise, it's like, what's your USP? So yeah, that whole like YouTube thing, like, okay, how to grow on YouTube is like a whole different video. I might have to make that video. If you guys are interested, then I will. Because I don't know, like my channel is a fashion channel. It's not like those channels where it's like strategies to grow on YouTube. But I could make a one-off if you guys really want me to.
So growing a personal brand, considering I'm doing it now, like obviously I don't know whether it's gonna be like Fashion Roadman. To be fair, like that's a
This is
brand
true also, by the way. If you're attractive, that's also
that helps.
a
That
selling
helps.
point. It helps a
Someone
lot.
someone told me that I was recently speaking to a woman and she said oh, I grew to 3,000 followers in 3 months. I was like, huh, bro, stress. It happens to be hot, but yeah, stress.
Yeah, I know really attractive people on TikTok that just go, and it's like a million views a video, but like,
Yeah, my
I'm
my
I'm
thing
not
is,
those people, so
yeah. I guess my personal thing would be to drop the ego. Like that would be like kind of like the overarching theme, but like, make the videos, make the rubbish videos if what you're creating is, if your videos are rubbish, but so long as you do what I said and have like add value in some sort of way, capacity, even if you're using your phone to record videos, like some people do, right? Because the amount of value that they're offering, people don't care that it's, iPhone quality videos. Like obviously you're looking at the setups today and seeing like the 4K, but at the same
Wait,
time
you're
it didn't
saying
start
that
like,
like iPhones don't take insane videos these days? Like,
no, people can tell, like, okay, maybe a lot of people can't tell, but I can tell when it's something is recorded from a phone or from a MacBook Pro
I think
camera
for an
versus the
iPhone,
camera.
you just need a very good lighting setup. Otherwise, it looks very obvious.
Yeah. Yeah, I can low key still tell, but maybe that's because I hyper focus on it. But good lighting setup and good mic is what I care about. But away from that, the main point that I was saying is like drop the ego, make the solid videos that you care about or whatever you care about, and yeah, that's the best thing
Hmm.
because like the ego is like half the battle because you're gonna be like, oh, people are judging me, oh, I'm not getting views, oh, all of these, but you need to make those videos so you can know, oh, what type of content do people actually like for me, because you're still gonna need to create an audience at the end of the day, and you don't even
Hmm.
know how you're going to be of service. So you might as well make all the things that you care about until you find those, certain niche things that people like. That people love my paint mixing videos. I spent years studying how to create colors. I had no clue that if I were to just show people how I mix my colors, that people would actually
Hmm.
like it. Do you know what I'm saying? But
And it's
those
just
are,
like also,
oh,
yeah, I was gonna say also like the more you make content, the more you know like what works and what doesn't. Like, okay, let me say today, for example, I posted two clips. One was about Burberry, the Burberry CEO, like what I talked about in the stream, talking about how they are reducing prices, and one was about Hyder Ackerman Canada Goose. Now I knew before even posting it, the Burberry video is going to do well. The Hyder Ackerman video is going to tank. I already know because the audience for the Burberry video, Burberry is a brand that a lot of people know about. The way I titled the video, a lot of people who aren't even interested in fashion can watch it. The Hyder Ackerman Canada Goose thing is so niche. Like, first of all, how many people in general know who Hyder Ackerman is, or even care enough to know about his collaboration with Canada Goose? But the reason I still post it is because I'm posting it for the 300 people that will watch it, or the 500 people that will. So also, not everything you do has to be for views. Like sometimes you're just doing it for a specific audience that will watch that specific thing. Like everything doesn't have to be. I'm only going to make the videos that are going to get a million views. Like if that was my intention and that was the case, I would only talk about very specific things. I wouldn't talk about a wider array of things. So I think you also have to decide yourself, like what you're going for.
you guys are dropping some real gems for us.
yo, why don't you speak about networking IRL, Michael? You're like one of the goats. I know of that.
Yeah, Mike is the beast at
Go
networking, bro.
outside,
I
innit?
he said go
Teach us how to touch grass, Michael.
No,
He
that's like
said go outside.
no. I
That
think
is so
if you
funny.
you gotta if you go to things that genuinely interest you, you're gonna meet other people who are actually interested in that thing that interests you as well, because you're all in the same place congregating. So then from there, muster up the courage to chat to people a little bit.
All right.
Next thing you know a fair share of people and whatnot. But yeah,
He's
I think
gatekeeping the information.
there's not really much of I feel like go outside is a big one because I think a lot of people say that. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, the people who have this question in the chat, but I feel like a lot of the people who ask that, they're sitting at home being like, oh, what can I do? How can I get invited to this or blah, blah, blah. But it's like, go outside to the things that you can go to, and then you might meet. Because if you just make a friend and that guy's invited to this one thing and you're invited to another thing, you now can get each other into each thing that you're invited to, and then vice versa, and then build up that way as well.
So you're saying have something to offer when you first go in
Yeah.
there, and
Not even have something to offer in the sense of like you being an interesting person or you being interested in whatever you're going to.
No, but
But
Micah, I genuinely think. Do you know what I think? Yeah, I think my biggest issue is I'm too much of an overthinker. So like, if I go into a space, I can kind of talk to people, but like I'm always overthinking it. Like, how are they perceiving me? Um, do they even this, that, that, this? Whereas I feel like you, from what I've seen, you just talk to people and then people take to you and you just, I just feel like you have something that makes it easy for you to network. I don't know. I feel like you have a skill.
I think as well, if I see someone like, you know, when you can tell someone's looking at you a little bit, I'll just go and talk to them if I see that. Because indirectly, they've kind of eased
chosen
up
you.
a space for that to happen. Yeah, because it's not like I've seen that even if they weren't that interested, they were interested enough to look at you for a bit too long in it. So now you just gone
Mm.
on, you just dap them up. Oh, what's up, bro? Like, what brought
Mm.
you here today? Now you're talking. Oh yeah, man. I do photography for. Da, 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 da. Oh, that's sick. My friend needs a photographer. He's working
Mm.
on X, Y, and Z. Like, I'll pass you his information. Da, 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 da. Now your friend's gone and done photography for this person. Oh, safe, bro, for hooking me up for that. You know, like I'm actually having this small gathering at my yard. Like, if you want to come, blah 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 blah. You go to the person's house, meet more people. Now you've got your little community, your little network. Like, I think it genuinely hinges on going outside and also knowing what you're interested in. That's what I'd
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. So Michael, when people stare at you for a little too long, do you go, "What is it? The braids?"
What is it? The braids? No, my shit clean right now. I can't even lie. My shit real clean right now.
No, Micah, for guys that don't, Micah is literally the king of networking. This guy is elite.
Yeah. No, he's elite still. He says, "Oh, you want to network with me? Okay."
Micah's the kind of guy that will call me and be like, yeah, I just like met Bernard Arnault and like he invited me to his house, and like I'm gonna have dinner with him tomorrow. It's like, bro,
Yeah. Oh, he's like, "Oh, Bernardo, no, yeah,
like what?
He's putting me in the will. I'm gonna have a position at Dior when he passes." Wait, what? What did you say, Michael? What?
To be fair, someone said I find networking events to be too intimidating. To be fair, off the top of my head, I don't think I've ever been to a networking event in my life. Like
Yeah.
something that's like steered
Yeah,
towards, hey, this is a networking event. I might go
I
to
think
something and in my
those
head
are a
think I'm
bit
going to
weird. To
network.
be fair,
They
I
are.
do think those are a bit weird because everyone's there with the intention to network, but then I don't think as much networking there happens as like just like the everyday events that happen in fashion.
Can I say though on that? And I and I have had a short conversation on this. Actually, it was quite long, but yeah, short conversation on this based on the amount of phone call that we had. Um, where what Marcus said in terms of know what you like. To break that down just a tad, it's like you need to be able to go to the places that are interesting to you so that you actually have more than a reason to go there. Because if you're going outside just for the sake of networking, that is cool, but at the same time you need to network in an environment that you feel comfortable in at the end of the day. Because if you're not comfortable in an environment and then the environment is also stiff, then you're just gonna, it's a recipe for disaster for you personally. So you need to be able to, if it's like a fashion event, then yeah, that's calm. Maybe you'll find one person, you can literally speak to one person and then that one person can lead to another person. Because in terms of the the ways that people say to network, Micah does that, but then also
Hmm.
it with his personality, because he's actually going to places that he actually cares about. so he doesn't need to overthink that particular aspect of it. But some people go to networking events and it's such a stiff environment that you're 100% going to overthink because you can possibly get imposter syndrome from the people that you're meeting. Whereas if you're going to a place where it's like, let's say, oh, a new sneaker is dropping, all different types of people like sneakers, or you're going to an art event, all different types of people love art events, right? So you can meet a
Right.
really rich person or a person that's like on your level because you're all going there for a common goal. You get it?
Yeah, no, I think that's a big point because that where you touched on sneakers, I feel like that's where it all started for me anyway. Like going to like a whatever, like a Supreme drop, everyone's there for the same thing, so it's easy to talk to anyone. Yo, bro, what do you think of this collection? Or what do you think of this week? It's heat. It's not. Da, da, da. Now you guys are talking. Probably end up talking about other stuff. Talk about the references. Blah 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 blah. Whereas like, I think cars are cool, but I'm not a car guy. If I went to a car event, I'd have fuck all to say because like I'm just not in that deep. The same thing with like perfume. Even though I've smelt a lot of perfumes and I own like my fair share, but I'm not a perfume person and there's not much I can talk about to be honest. So I probably just wouldn't go to that kind of thing unless I was feeling curious that day or I was going with a friend.
All right. Yeah, I
There you
just
go.
think yeah, I do think like because obviously I do have a very strong network. Like I talk about this with Michael all the time. Like we have such different networks, and it's really interesting like how that's happened. But it's very because like if I'm at Fashion Week, I just feel like think people are a bit stiff sometimes. But I feel like even though in my head, I guess maybe it's my own perception, maybe it's my own issues even though I feel like people are a bit stiff, Micah will still like network with those people and will leave with everyone's contacts.
I think as well, more time than not, people might even be nervous to chat to you, but you're like, because you think they don't want to speak to you, but they actually do. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Which is why I was saying, oh, if you think someone's looking at you for a bit too long, just go and talk to them, because it probably means maybe they want to say something to you or speak to you or anything.
uh-huh.
I just want you to know, Michael, the confidence to do that is like astronomical. A lot.
Oh,
Like
fair, fair.
you're saying it like it's super easy, and obviously, like that is just like the edge that you have on some people. But certain people need a stupid amount of confidence to just say hello to people. Like
No,
they
that's
will
fair.
start flop sweating for the fact that they're speaking to a foreign translator. It's real though.
No,
Like
I
fair.
know
me,
it, you are
yeah.
right. It's true. It's true.
Like I can like for instance, I went to an art event the other day, right? And it was my friend's art event, but then I met some, rich benefactors, like fun people, and it's like, and like when I go to art events, those are just the types of people that are attracted to me because of the way I dress or the way that I articulate myself or whatever it is. But if I'm going to a networking event where there's stores, there's marketplaces, or there's people on stage, it's like none of these people here at this networking event are here to speak to me. They literally
Right.
do not give a crap. They want to see the person on stage or they want to go to the booth with the company that they want to work at.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what would I rather do? Go to the people that like enjoy and like what I like, or go to the place where, yeah, there might be a lot of great people over here, but in reality, they're not here for me and they're not here to even speak to people who have a common interest in this particular thing.
Mm. No, that
Like,
makes sense.
yeah, I love art bears, man. Like, so I can go to an art event all day, every day. Ask me to come to Soho House now. I'm gonna be thinking, like, my head is just gonna be spinning, thinking about, oh, yo, like, I actually have to, yo,
But you
oh
know
my
they have
god,
art maps in Soho House for every single house. There's an art map.
No, but like guys
I do.
don't like let me literally reenact like me and Micah's conversations. Like Micah is the kind of guy yeah, where like we'll be in Paris Fashion Week. Micah will call me like, "Where are you?" I'll be like, "Oh, I'm just like coming back from so and so show." He'll be like, "Oh, pull up to this place." I'll be like, "What's happening there?" He's like, "Oh, basically, I just like came to this place now, and I just met this girl, and she's like the head of PR for like so and so brand, and like we're just talking, and like it was really interesting." Dude, I'm like, "Bro, How old is this guy as a
No,
magician?
literally, like at Paris Fashion Week, Michael was like, "Yeah, I'm just here with Fabio Foreign." Like, no, like that
That
literally
is
happened.
definitely the kind of thing that Michael would say.
Like, and that's not even the tip of the ice. That's just the tip of the iceberg. There was actual different things that happened, but like, yeah, like you just literally, and the story behind that was actually crazy. But yeah, I would go Soho House of Michael, but like that's because I have someone that's common that I know over there. Not, oh yeah, I'm going by my on my ones. I'm not just rocking up to Soho. I'm not rocking up anywhere. Like I don't want to go to Tottenham Court Road. I don't want to take the Elizabeth line. I've taken 2 trains to go to there. Like, you know what I'm saying? For
Yeah.
obvious reason.
Yeah. No, I really stand on that thing of like, if you're going to something you're interested in, like, I think it's gonna always be a lot easier to talk to people. Because I'm even thinking about, let's say you go to a concert for an artist you really like, and you have a favorite song, and you hear
Mm,
the person right next to you say, "Oh, I hope they play XYZ. That's my favorite song." I feel like that's the easy segue for me. Like naturally, I just be like, "Oh, me too." Because if it's especially an obscure song, I'll be like, "Yo, me too." Like, da, da, da. Next thing you know, you're talking to that person, just getting to know them a bit while you're waiting, blah blah blah. Whereas if I were at a concert where I didn't know any of the songs, and someone was next to me saying their favorite song, well, I don't know any songs, so I
Uh huh.
can't contribute to the conversation.
Damn, damn,
that's
damn.
absolutely real. That's absolutely real.
So yeah, Micah's just dropped gems on networking. Communication skills are becoming a lost art in the cell phone age.
I think that's actually true though. You know.
That is very true. I
That's
mean, so I don't have communication issues. I don't even have networking issues. I'm
mm,
just saying Micah's just way better at it. That's what I'm saying. Like Micah's is way better at
yeah,
it. But I'm not like the guy who's like sweating to talk to
yeah.
people.
No,
That's
no,
definitely not me.
could never be me. But I am the person that's like, I would rather prefer to be in the dark corner of the event than be in the center, just saying hello to people. I'm not really,
Mm.
I'm not really trying to talk to new people. It's just not my thing. But if it's like, oh, we're all talking about this particular artist in this particular place, yo, it's gonna be easy for me. It will literally
Like
be easy for me to
I
meet
can
new
give
people.
you like a pure example of what I mean when I say Micah's way better. So like I can network, but I need to know like one person there, and I can kind of use that to kind of network with everyone or whatever. But
Mm,
like, there was an event. It wasn't recent, but I remember this like it was yesterday. I got invited to this fashion event, and I got to this event, and it was like this was when I first started working in the industry, so I didn't really know anyone. And I got to this event, and you could see people were like standing in groups of like their friends, and I didn't know anyone there, and I was just standing there. I was just looking around, and I was like, if I just walk up to one of these groups, how would this go? And then I just decided in my head that it wouldn't go well, so I went back home, bro. I literally went back home. In fact, the company called me the next day, like, "Oh, we didn't see you at the event." I was like, "Oh no, I was there," and they're like, "Oh, we didn't see you." I was like, "I was there."
this guy is
um,
6'3". You actually can't miss him. He's built like a brick shit house, but they didn't see him. That's how it is.
but I feel like why I'm saying difference between me and Micah, I feel like Micah still would have gone to that event, not known anyone, and would have left knowing everyone. I feel like that's just the kind of guy he is.
So we're glazing Micah segment. Yes, it is. What is
No,
it? The brain?
we're giving Micah his flowers.
Yeah, of course. I just want to say, what is it? The braids?
What is it? The braids?
You want to network with me? Okay.
There's two goats left, and two of them hugging and kissing on stream.
No, no, two of them are flops were in the networking team. Yo,
Yo, Micah, you have 5 working days to respond to Luke. Why does the top of his head look like an
Listen.
X marks the spot?
Oh yeah, but I'm just gonna charge that down to Luke being racist. So
braiding is a black art form, and you're making fun of it. Wow.
That's funny. It's for me. It's Micah's delivery that killed me.
It's hilarious, bro.
Micah's delivery was crazy.
All right. So let's see.
Okay, guys. Any more fashion questions? We're still in after hours because I got 6 donations. Even though the goal is 10, but 6 donations is loads, so we're in after hours right now.
Wait, let me see if they've liked the video.
We have 11 likes.
Oh,
I
84.
think.
84 likes. You didn't refresh.
Do we? Okay, my thing looks like 11 likes. Maybe
Yo,
I'm not on the
please
right.
like the stream. We want to get to 100 likes before the end of the stream. And Michael, you have an Amex, isn't it?
I have 2.
Okay, that's sorry.
Now I've got the gold one and I've got the British Airways one, innit?
Yo, help me.
Well, you need a referral thing.
Micah's out here flying
I don't
business
think it
class.
increases your chances of getting one, but you just get bare deals if you do get it. So I can send you the referral if you want.
That would be fly. I would like, to be fair, I know a couple friends that I want the Soho House one though. I think it's like what, £2,000 a year or something like that.
Nah.
The one I want is the British Airways one, the black one, because the points you get through it, the Avios points, is insane.
Bro, my mum's been flying free for the last like 5 years because of it. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, like that black one is crazy. The British Airways one, that one is insane. You do have to pay for it though, but it's not like the fees aren't like crazy high.
But if you know you're spending money, it works out as more than worth it, man.
Yeah.
I think the fee's only 175 as well.
I have my credit during uni, so I have to build it. I've only got a Capital One card because I'm a brokey.
I've got one of those as well. Shout out Capital One.
Yeah, so I'm gonna get a Capital One, and I'm gonna get. Hopefully, I work my way up to Amex. So
I don't actually think your credit score has to be that good to get an Amex. Low key.
Really?
Yeah. As in, like, you might have to. I don't know, like, how screwed or not screwed yours is. But I'm saying it doesn't actually have to be like. It doesn't have to be mad high to get one.
I'm only playing, but I do want a high credit limit though. That's the actual.
No, but you can build that up because it starts.
You can build that with time. My credit limit has just been.
They just do it automatically as well. They'll just send you an email like, "Yo, we doubled your thing.
Yeah.
If you don't want it, tell us. But otherwise, it's doubled now."
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to not take it though, because your credit score goes up.
Yeah, no, literally.
When your credit limit increases.
Yeah, I know someone who has a 5-figure limit, and I'm jealous. Honestly,
I think I have a 5-figure limit actually. But I think the only thing about having a high limit, you just have to spend responsibly.
One card or multiple cards?
On one card.
No, one card.
Oh, no, I don't have a high limit on one card. You know who has a fat credit actually? Henry.
Wait, why don't you have a high limit on one card? What the heck?
I have a one card like 8.
I'm trying to get the highest limit possible.
The highest I've been offered is 8K on one card.
I want to give it to my missus for a monthly spending budget.
Yeah, those credit limits though, you just have to be careful because when they start hitting you with the interest,
it's a stressful day.
That interest is a bit insane.
Now I've got bare reminders set up on my phone to make sure.
No, but I flopped it one time because basically I had a standing order for my credit cards, but I think the standing order messed up and it didn't send on time, so then I got charged interest for the next month. Bro, I was livid. Now I set reminders on my phone. I don't use a standing order, so I pay it on time.
That's peak. Oh, of course, Lamfari said, "Why do you use credit?"
Lamfari said, "Why do you use credit anyway?" To build your credit score, sir.
Oh wow, that's
here he goes again.
How old is Lamfari? Not to put
obviously, some of us aren't rich enough to just buy everything cash and never have to think about credit. But for us normal people, we have to build a credit score so we can actually like one day get a mortgage and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I would love, and I do buy most of things I buy outright. The only reason I have a credit score a credit card is so that I can build my credit score for that particular reason. What I said, I just want to get a house.
I'm literally considering, like, I was gonna get, like, I was like, okay, um, I need to sort some stuff out, and then I need to get a car. And like, I'm not gonna get an expensive car because obviously I can't afford an expensive car. But I was like, should I pay for it outright and just save for like maybe a year, or should I
Mm.
get credit? And I actually thought, maybe I should probably get a like car finance because your credit score goes up so much. Because I
No,
don't
from a
have
car,
like
it
a
goes up a
big,
lot.
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
Car,
you're absolutely right,
phone
Aaron.
bill. There's another one as well. Car, phone bill, and electric bills.
Mortgage or
Oh yeah,
electric
but
bill. Yeah,
I mean before you have a mortgage,
Yeah,
those always
before a
look
mortgage,
good.
I
yeah,
think the car is actually the best one outside of a mortgage. So I was like, let me just get like a credit, like car finance that I can easily afford and just pay it just to
yeah.
improve my credit score. Like you're paying a
Aaron, you
little
know
bit of
my
interest, but it's not like crazy.
like my brother's an accountant in it, so he was like, listen, yeah, I know you can buy the car, but just get the finance, build it up with over a year, you're gonna have a better credit score and you'll have a higher credit limit because they know that you can pay something that's quite expensive off. So that's the best reason to get like an expensive phone. So if you want to like let's say a 2K iPhone, it's better to finance that. If you want to get a Rolex, it's probably better to finance that, even though it doesn't really count. But yeah, it's like if you can finance expensive things and pay off on time, then you're credited towards that.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, no. Shout out to my accountant brother.
Wait, do people finance Rolexes?
Yes, they've been
Of
financing Rolexes
course.
since
From where?
2015.
How?
How does he say how? You can finance any watch.
From
Like,
no, but
Yeah,
like, are they buying it from a third party or something?
there's literally a sign outside of my watch shop that says, "Yo, you can finance a Rolex."
That's
You can
crazy.
finance. They
yeah.
also
Fair enough.
finance Cartiers, Omegas, and tags. I know people
Mm-hmm.
that yeah, and it's not a bad thing to find. Like I used to think it was a bad thing because I come from a brokey mindset, but it's not actually bad.
Imani said, bro, buying a Ford Focus is what he buys new Rick Owens. Imani, you need to understand that I buy Rick Owens
Here we go.
for wholesale
It's a
price.
lifestyle. It's a
So
lifestyle.
I never ever lose money on a Rick Owens purchase, but I'm gonna lose money on a car because cars depreciate. I never ever lose money on a Rick because I buy it for so cheap that if I want to sell it, I'm always gonna make a profit. So there's a difference. There's a difference.
Okay, JS, cloning a Rolex is sicko mode. I don't know anyone who's done that. That is actually wild.
To be
But
fair,
yeah,
nah, actually, I don't. Me personally, I don't think I would finance a watch.
you should. You probably should. If you
Nah,
don't
I
have
don't
a
think
very
I don't have the
expensive,
vim for it. I don't have the vim for it.
do you
I'd
have?
rather just pay out right and know it's not because if anything happens, like
Bye bye. The debt collector's like, you know that watch? Can I have it
Well, you
back?
just gotta show them you're responsible because, like, literally, I could buy a Cartier if I feel like it today, but if I finance it and it's like, let's say 5K or something, then that shows on my like, because I got a Barclays card, that shows up to Barclays that says, "Yo," and then the shops all have like Barclays to do that.
Right.
So yeah, it's just easier in quotes, right? But in reality, yeah, man, I don't need to.
She just say Klarna, the Murakami LV re-release. Guys,
oh, that
this
thing's
is not a
awful,
financial
man.
channel. I would not suggest anyone goes into debt getting things that are not necessary. If you
Yes,
can afford it, yes. But like luxury goods are not a necessity. So going into debt for anything like that to me doesn't make any sense. But once
yeah.
again, this is not financial advice.
I think yeah, no, I'm not gonna give any advice. But yeah, uh,
There is good debt, but not a Murakami LV bag. That's not
yeah,
good
no,
debt.
that's absolutely terrible debt in my opinion, but it's fine. But if you can finance a five-figure item, I mean not five figure, sorry, of like anything over £5,000, you probably should
Yeah,
try because you need
yeah.
to like be able to slowly build up, like they were saying. Like if you can finance something that's 5,000 and you pay that off, then they'll give you like 10,000, and then if you can pay that off, they'll give you 15, 20. up until mortgage. You know what I'm saying?
Well, this is a good. We've got a fashion question.
Oh, finally.
Why are accessory and jewelry brands less relevant than clothing brands, even though accessories sell more than clothes? Oh, that's a really good question. I'll answer then, like Dami and Micah, if you want to answer, you can. But I think it's to do with like marketing. Like you can't market jewelry the way you market clothing. Like clothing, you can put it on the runway. Whereas jewelry, because when someone wears clothing, it's quite easy to see. When someone wears jewelry, you have to be up close and all this sort of stuff. So it's harder to market in that sense, where you can't do like these big shows that people do for clothing. So I think marketing is a big reason, and then also like I feel like product placements and imagery for accessories and jewelry brands is just not as great. And that, once again, it goes to like it's limited the things you can do. Like with clothing, you can have Naomi Campbell doing this amazing pose. With jewelry, someone just has their hand out. Like, so the marketing just isn't the same. You can't dream the same way through jewelry, the way that you can through clothing, I feel like.
I'll go. If I am interpreting the question correctly, I think the person's saying like, even though accessory brands are selling accessories and clothing brands are also selling accessories, how come the clothing brands are more relevant than the accessory brands? And for that, I'd say that I think it's because the clothing brands have the clothes, which act as a canvas for the accessories.
Mm-hmm.
So by making, really awesome campaigns and really eye-catching clothing that communicates with an audience and connects with people, you're able to kind of show people the world. And then the accessory is normally for a clothing brand priced at a price point that is significantly more accessible than the clothing is. For example, that's why people buy the LV card holder, because they only have to spend £250 rather than spending 1.4K on a sweater. So whereas accessory companies don't have clothes, their own clothes to use as a canvas for communication. So instead they either have to use other people's clothes, which might misdirect their marketing, since you could be conflicting, like you can present a conflicting image, or they have to kind of just, like I was saying earlier, zoomed in shots of like hands and fingers for rings and stuff, which again just isn't that eye catching. But yeah, that's what I think it is.
Yeah. Dami, what do you think?
Yeah. So I think what you guys said was absolutely spot on. So I think I would just add the different angle, which is that the audience for them are particularly attuned to those particular areas, right? So for jewelry brands, maybe Vogue isn't the space to do it. Like I don't know whether anyone has actually subscribed to Vogue, but maybe Vogue isn't the place to do it. Rob Report, on the other hand, probably is, because Rob Report has the right type of audience that is willing to spend 8K on a Van Cleef for the most tiny, like,
Or like the Financial Times, or
piece.
like
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly, because their audience is catered towards people who care about those particular type of things. So maybe, based on where you're looking, it's actually changes your perspective on how popular a perfume brand, a furniture brand, a jewelry brand actually is. Because when it comes to restoration hardware, you don't see their ads. However, the people that know about restoration hardware know them. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
so many places, there's different places where I can see niche furniture that some other that costs like 10K, 15K, 20K. That's not going to be in Vogue. They just aren't, because I see what Vogue puts out. They're not going to be in Women's Wear Daily. So generally, in terms of how popular perfume brands, jewelry brands, furniture brands, all of these other things that we consider ancillary to what fashion is, like the particular audience that's like, yo, I'm trying to do home decor, and the decor is more expensive than the actual house itself, they
Hmm.
have particular places that they actually like to look at for these particular things. And when they buy the 20K lamp, for instance, they don't need to look at Vogue because Vogue is for the brokies. You know what I'm saying? So there's certain
Yeah,
areas
I
that are
just
popular for these things.
they kind of also fly under the radar because kind of like what you're saying, Dammy. Like these luxury brands are going for trying to attract as many customers as they can, whereas a lot of the accessory only brands, they sell extremely expensive high ticket items, and that's how they make their money. So they just need like 1,000 ultra rich people, and they can sell each of them like 100K bracelet. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah,
also the audience. So it is partially like where you're looking. Like even like obviously in this stream it's kind of like a meme. We talk about Nadine Gosson all the time, right? But like the average everyday person doesn't really know about Nadine Gosson.
They don't know flying
Um,
monkeys about her, mate.
yeah. Like they make like think about it this way, right? They make about 1 million Rolexes every single year, and you don't necessarily see them trying to advertise to every single individual that we make 1 million Rolexes. They have a subscriber list of people that have either pre-bought a Rolex or want to buy a Rolex, so they already have a hot market for
and the
Rolexes.
waiting
So they
lists
don't
are
necessarily,
wild
yeah.
anyway.
And there's way more than 1 million millionaires, so they have over a surplus of people that want to buy it with a limited supply. And then when we start talking about 24 karat gold watches and platinum watches, like these are very technical things to even make into jewelry. So they're one, quite expensive, and two, very rare items. Whereas if we're talking about polyester and leather, those are, infinitely being able to supply, because polyester and plastic leather is, you can make all of those things thousands of meters, millions of meters a day. So yeah, it's quite hard to even fathom what is necessary to create a watch, because there's such limited supply of the minerals that there is to create them.
Mm,
So you do need that hot audience that doing exactly what Ayo said, which is, yo, I need 1,000 people. But to get those 1,000 people, you need to be in the right places at the right times and all of these other things, right? I don't know how many people here know about Basil World, but yo, that's where people go to buy watches sometimes. And like obviously, Swatch has one now, and Rolex is quite particular about where they advertise, but those are the areas people go to. They're not going to Fashion Week to buy a Rolex.
hmm.
But yeah, there's some artisanal watchmakers out there that are like, they can only show in Basel World. They don't need to go to Art Basel or what's it, Fashion Week to show their watches.
Yeah. Why are you guys policing Dami's language? Leah says we must highlight how the luxury fashion brands are not necessarily selling fine jewelry. Yeah, for the most part, most of them sell like kind of very cheaply made show jewelry. And the price points are way less than, proper like jewelry brands. So that's a very, valid point to bring up.
The Urbans are clever.
Yeah. And like, think about the actual fashion brands that make jewelry. It's the ones that are in the billions. Because, yo, if you're starting out, or even if you have, like, let's say 10 million, 20 million, to make something that's 24 karat gold is a whole different market in and of itself. You don't necessarily know, because people buy your clothes, they're gonna want to have your, badge. That is, it
Right.
may be 24 karat gold, but yo, if you have to sell this badge for 5K, do I want this or do I want to cut here? That is known for doing that particular thing.
That's why instead Phoebe Philo will sell you a gold toned brass mum ring or necklace.
Exactly, yeah. Not
Or
to show off
Chanel will sell
anything
you
there.
those like earrings, the showpieces or whatever, because it's more affordable. Like the price point wise, it's more affordable because of the materials they're using.
Yeah, think about where Birkin advertises. Like, where do you see Birkin adverts? It's very conspicuous or inconspicuous to the way that they actually advertise. But if you're in the know to the way that these people show off their things and who they put them on, they're quite particular about, oh, you know, these people can actually have these
Yeah.
items. So yeah, but then obviously Birkin is in fashion. Now think of all of the brands that make bags that aren't fashion, but they are these luxury bag makers. Then you know, quantum leap that into fine jewelry. It's a whole nother world in and of itself. It's just like how different the art world is.
Hmm.
I don't even like fashion, guys.
This guy has started his bullshit.
Bro, I love fashion, jewelry, art, perfume, furniture, and sneakers if they're a different industry. But yeah.
So Luke is claiming to be the Nadine Gossam buyer now. Interesting. Luke wants to claim that one.
Yo.
Anyway, guys, we're now 3 hours 30 minutes in. I told you guys I'll do the after hours, so we did it this time. I haven't done one in a while, but I shall now be taking my leave. Like I always say, if you want to watch my streams back, I post them on Spotify, so you can always watch my streams back on Spotify. And I'll be seeing you guys in the next stream whenever that happens. Thank
What
you
do
very
we
much,
type into
everyone,
Spotify? Tell us what to type
for
in.
tuning in. Fashion Roadman.
Okay, wait, I'm trying it now. And
Let's see if it comes up.
Wait, like the stream, subscribe to the Patreon, and donate. And see you next time.
Let's see, Micah, is it working or is it
Wait, I had
not?
to reboot my Spotify.
By the way, anyone who wants to know, I am sub to the Patreon.
Fashion
Regardless,
Roadman. Okay, I've searched it.
I support my boy, even though it's £3.50, but I support him anyways.
Podcasts and shows. I can't find it actually, you know. Don't know if I'm doing something wrong.
Can you not? I have it. The link is in the description anyway. So
let me
regardless,
follow the link in the description.
Yeah, man.
Maybe
follow the
Yeah,
link
maybe
in the
need a bit more
description.
SEO.
Follow him on Spotify.
Probably because I just started. So probably because it's.
And
I don't have enough videos there until for me to like really show up yet, at least.
I should be also making videos. So yeah, man. Hopefully you guys sub to my.
Yeah, tell us about
what's it
your
called?
plans. What should we be looking out for?
No.
Yeah, go on, tell
I
me.
want
Go
to
on.
go to bed. Oh, I can.
No.
All
Go
right.
on. Go on. Quickly.
Yeah. So for those who aren't subscribed, not subscribed, following me on Instagram. It's my name and then ARAH at the end. I paint. I make fine art paintings. Obviously, I'm a writer also, but what I do now, one of the main things I do now is painting, and I will be making videos, process videos based on those particular paintings, and also talking about my overall, talking about my art practice, and you know, also fashion things, because like it's all part of the universe that we're part of, right? So yeah, like those type of videos are coming through, as well as me being on IO's live stream. But yeah, no, everything that we kind of spoke about here, especially in the after hours, is what I generally speak about on a day to day, and I want to make videos about it because I think it's fun. I think what we do is fun, and I love this game. So yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
And obviously, when you start posting more videos, you can hop back on a live, and then we can show people your channel on the screen and stuff, and they can sub.
Everyone subscribe.
I love that.
Micah,
Yeah, we'll give you
Micah,
motivation to post as well.
Micah, any last words before we disappear?
I don't have any words.
Okay, guys. See you guys in the next stream.